Hello, everyone, and welcome to the P1 Broadcasting Network. It's Murph, it's Sam, and you know what that means. It's Friday night for the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series live from the Michigan Speedway. And Sam, this is kind of like, mimics real life. We're going to have a truck race before the big open wheels showdown tomorrow here on P1. But we've got a pretty big race brewing tonight, don't we?
For that tomorrow, because tonight there's going to be some exciting truck action here at Michigan Speedway, and we're going to have it here with the AMA and Archway Industrial Trucks, and these guys have been putting on shows for a number of weeks, so I'm eager to strap into the seat, grab the steering wheel, and see where we go.
You know, I am too. We've got a lot of familiar faces here, Sam, and we've got a lot of names that we haven't seen circling among the favorites for tonight's race. Ryan O'Donoghue. Would it surprise you, Sam, to know that Ryan O'Donoghue has the fastest lap in? Would it surprise you to know he's got the fastest lap in practice, buddy?
Well, we call him the one-armed bandit because he's doing the Joey Logano. He's sticking his left hand out the window for drag, just for downforce. So Ryan has not had any trouble finding his way to the top at practice speed.
No, he is not. Billy Elwell, what a good qualify or what a good practice effort from him. He is second quick. And how about last week's winner, Jim Duda? Father Jim Duda of last week's race winner, Jared Duda. He's third on the board. I was talking with David Dunwoody earlier today. He currently runs fourth in practice. Chuck Sweeting rounds out your top five for tonight's event. 100 laps, 200 miles here at the Michigan International Speedway. Stages are at 30 and 60, and I have been told that you can make roughly about 35 laps on fuel. Does that sound about right, Sam?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I just raced a race here last night, but we were running 70% fuel, so 35 laps sounds about right, depending on how much you can do a little throttle control.
There you go. And we'll see all kinds of that throttle control. We'll see guys rolling way out of the throttle in the draft trying to save fuel. Here in the trucks, the draft makes a difference here at Michigan. We may even see drivers using the kill switch. Shut it off, push in the clutch, and let it roll through the corners, mightn't we, Sam?
Oh, there's no question that drivers will do whatever they can to either save fuel. I don't know that saving fuel is really an advantage here, except I don't know that they can get. I don't know. It's going to be close tonight. This may be the one track that we could see some fuel mileage come into play in the last segment, because after caution laps, it could very well come into play. So you may find drivers that are using the clutch to coast into into 1 and 3 so that they can save enough fuel maybe for that just extra few laps at the end of the race and win it on fuel mileage. I mean, it could play into some real strategy tonight.
You know it could. Michigan has always been a track that produced fuel mileage races, back to the greats of doing so, like Harry Gant, Darrell Waltrip, and even more recently, Dale Earnhardt Jr. won a fuel mileage race here. This track, for whatever reason, has always played toward the guys who could save the fuel. Although I'm not quite sure Harry Gant ever went to a track that he couldn't save fuel at. So there you go. But the handsome one, always good to hear that name. Won a lot of fuel mileage races here at Michigan. This was his last win, wasn't it?
Hall of Famer.
That's right.
Hall of Famer. He can say that now. Hall of Famer.
Should have been in that thing a long time ago. It probably could build it.
Oh, no, I agree. 150% I agree that he should have already been in.
Now, Harry Gant, in addition to being a Hall of Fame race car driver, could have probably built the Hall of Fame for NASCAR. But
he's quite a carpenter.
We digress. Jared Duda was the winner last week over Austin Hunn and Dad Jim Duda. Paul Witt finished fourth. Justin Osterman, Mr. Excitement in the AMA, was fifth. David Dunwoody, Chuck Sweeting, Chad Dulabon, Corey Palermo, and Donald Green rounded out your top 10. Donald was in the chat earlier, Sam. He's saying he's not feeling a lot of speed in practice, but he's got the belt tights. Go ahead and get it done.
Well, it's always good. I mean, even if you don't have speed, if you race smart, you can and stay with the pack here, you can put yourself in a position to have a good finish. So even if you don't feel like you have speed, and there are some drivers surprisingly that are low on the practice list as far as speeds go, but that does not always translate that you're going to have a bad race. It's a matter of making sure that you save tire, which is crucial in these trucks. because what's going to happen is as the fuel load begins to dissipate, depending on how hard you push this truck, in this heat, and the track temperature is at 116 degrees right now. In this heat, that truck's going to start to get very loose off of turns 2 and 4.
You know, it most certainly will, and that's as the tires wear. Of course, depending on what line you take, you can either wear out the right front, the right rear, depending on how you choose to navigate the speedway today. Speaking of weather and the heat right now, relatively, I would call these mild temperatures, 77 degrees in the air, 113 on the track. Wind is out of the northwest at 7, and so if I remember correctly, which way does this track face, Sam? Northwest would be... Now Sam's going to make me get to Google Earth. Anyway, it's not a stiff breeze, but it's enough to upset these cars depending on how it blows, is it not?
Well, we have to see how turns 3 and 4 are oriented north. So, I mean, the track is almost perpendicular north and south.
Yeah, looking at it now, you are correct. You are correct. So
yeah, it's almost completely perpendicular north and south.
Yeah,
so turns 3 and 4 would be north, with just a hint northeast, and then the turns 1 and 2 would be south with a hint southwest. So
yeah. Call it a tailwind down the front stretch, a headwind down the back. It's gonna really loosen these trucks up in 3 and 4. It's gonna give them a ton of grip going into entry into turn number 3, and you're gonna have a lot more speed going into turn number 1. This track, by the way, has a very interesting history, Sam. I don't know if you knew that or not, but it is a very interesting history indeed. Originally, it was part of a attempted racetrack conglomeration called Raceways International Raceways Inc. And originally they owned this track, the twin in College Station, Texas, called Texas World Speedway, since demolished. They also owned a piece of Atlanta and a piece of Riverside. Larry LaPotion was the original promoter. He went broke due to some shenanigans at Texas World and College Station, and this track was then sold to Roger Penske. It has held big-time NASCAR races. At one point, it held the second biggest IndyCar race on the schedule, the Michigan 500, later renamed the US 500, later renamed the Marlboro 500. At one time, it was one of the largest automobile races in the country. This track has seen closed course speed records set at it. The current record is set at California, but this track at one point was the venue for closed course speed record attempts. It is very fast. It also...
yes, it is incredibly fast.
It is,
and it's synonymous. Really, Michigan is synonymous with car manufacturers in the United States. It really is, by all practical purposes. Any car manufacturer, they want to win at Michigan.
You know,
it's a bragging right thing in Michigan.
They do indeed. The other cool thing about this track, and you'll kind of see it as we go along through some of these aerial shots, you can see it in Google Earth. This track did have a road course that was laid out by Sterling Moss, and it held Can-Am and Trans Am races on a better than 5 kilometer layout. Essentially, they would go out the back and roll along through the Irish Hills in Michigan, come back in. That is no longer there, of course, but it's been turned into camping and parking for the oval. But kind of an interesting bit is that there was at one point a very awesome road course here, Sam.
It doesn't surprise me that this track would be able to accommodate different venues or different genres of racing. I'm surprised that they wouldn't utilize it or keep it.
I think it became too expensive. You can kind of see it, the brakes in the backstretch, wall there. Yeah. That's where it would go out and come back in. Yeah. There's one up by turn 2 and one up by turn 3, but that's where it would go out and come back in, of course. Sam, enough about the road course, though. we are just about set for qualifying. Who do we want? Qualifying. Who do we want to watch?
Well, it's really been it's been really fun to watch some of these drivers, especially ones that have been working their way. I'm interested to see how David Dunwoody does. He really turned a really good lap in practice, and he seems to really be coming on with some speed. So I'd be interested to see how David Dunwoody does in qualifying today.
Will indeed. While we wait for David Dunwoody to get himself warmed up, let's get on board with Ryan O'Donohue. Now here's Ryan. We'll get on the roof cam for Ryan.
Oh, there is cloud cover on the track. You may have a busy racetrack right now.
Yeah, you can see the clouds.
A lot of cloud cover.
You can.
The track temp is down to 71. It's 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you can see
There's
that.
There's going to be some blistering speeds here.
You can visibly see it in the sim, Sam.
You can. I just saw the timestamp on the server, and it's 8 o'clock in the morning for qualifying here.
There it is. Here's Ryan O'Donoghue. He's going to roll into turn number 1, down to the bottom of the speedway, 183 miles an hour, and I think he's flat out, Sam.
No, I wouldn't doubt if he's flat out with these track temps so low. I noticed that he did not go to the bottom. He stayed on that first seam. And for the viewers that don't understand what we're saying about the seam, you see the lines that are in the corners. They're black lines, and it shows like lanes on the speedway, and that's just how the equipment lays out the asphalt. And where each lane is what is called a seam. And so a lot of drivers in Michigan like to ride right on the top of that first seam.
They do. Now we jumped on board David Dunwoody. He is all the way around the bottom, the yellow line there on the apron. And you mentioned the seams as lanes. When we race open wheel cars here, we actually use those as lanes, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
David Dunwoody, though.
O'Donoghue to the top with another .2.
He did. Now here comes David Dunwoody. He's going to come off at turn number 4, down the front straightaway on the apron. You can do that in qualifying. You can do that in the race here. Dunwoody is going to go to third quick, 183, 164. He ran the exact same lap time to the thousandths of a second as Jared Duda. Yeah, but iRacing knows down to 6 decimal places, I believe. And
but Jim Duda comes out on top.
How about that
Jim
for a
Duda
big lap?
A big lap.
Now we've
2
got
tenths off of, or a tenth and a half off of his practice speed.
Now we've got more heavy
and that
hits.
Has a lot to do with the temp.
Yeah, we've got more heavy hitters coming. Here's Matty Wagner in the open wheel special. Speaking of open wheel specials, how about Mike Rigney joining us? Donald Green is checked in. Liam Anderson Motorsports asking to be easy on the old man tonight. There is no going easy on anybody here at Michigan. This is a fun track, but Wagner is doing the same thing as O'Donoghue. Paul Witt jumps to the top. Wagner is doing the same thing as O'Donoghue. He's at that first seam, not all the way around the bottom.
And now there is a little sun that's starting to hit the surface of the racetrack. That'll heat the asphalt up just a tad, but it's still really early in the morning, so I don't know that it's going to heat up quickly.
It is indeed.
And Wagner goes all the way to the bottom. He's going to ride the apron, which is allowed.
Speed for Matt Wagner. He's going to jump to 8th quick, 39, 348, 183, 060 miles an hour. Last probably serious,
Paul Witt to the top.
Yes. Braden Langley and Brian Sharp are apparently not taking time as we drop below a minute left in the session, and so they're not going to be able to make it. Right now, Paul Witt.
Brian Sharp is having connection issues, and Braden Langley has actually disconnected from the server, so we'll see if they can get back in before the cars launch for the grid.
Yeah, there you go, Donald Green. 14th is currently better than he thought. I tell you what, 14th is not bad. You can certainly do pretty well from there.
Paul Witt found the nitrous button in this truck.
Yes, he did. And conversely, Matt Wagner said the IndyCar line didn't work. It does not. You need to
No, not in the truck.
It does not. You need to do it a little bit differently in this one. But this is the qualifying order that you're going to see. There are no more laps to be turned here, Sam. As we count it down, we do have another big audience, and so we do want to thank everybody for tuning in here on the P1 Broadcasting Network, live for the Rogue Energy 200, the Archway Industrial Coatings AMA Truck Series. We're so glad to have you. And we're so glad to have a starting lineup, Sam.
Oh, yeah. I'm just looking down through the starting field here. There's some new names, as you were alluding to earlier. Owen Stemkovich is new to the AMA's Industrial Truck Series, as well as Daryl Zucchelli. And so these drivers will be interested to see how they work with the rest of the field that has been so diligently faithful week in and week out, as we've been able to enjoy watching these guys go fast and turn left. So it's going to be nice to see some fresh faces and how they're going to play out.
Heck yes, it will be. Paul Witt is your pole sitter, 183.4956. He's going to be joined on the front row by Jim Duda, Brian O'Donohue, Chuck Sweeting in that familiar purple and black chrome machine. Chuck is going to go fourth. Chad Dulabon and Billy Elwell, they're going to start fifth and sixth. Nice run for Billy Elwell in a new livery, the CHEP, on the number 67. So good to see Billy Elwell in the field. How about David Dunwoody? He's going to start seventh next to Jared Duda in eighth. Matt Wagner, he's going to roll ninth. And Chad Winstead, another former winner in the series, he is going to go 10th.
Starting back. We're glad to see Mr. Winstead back in the field.
Yes, we are. Starting in 11th, it's going to be Mr. Excitement, Justin Osterman. He's going to be joined in that row by the teddy bear, Ted Craven. In 13th, John Guerrero. 14th, Mark Cofield. 15th, John Hutchins. Liam Anderson is going to roll from 16th, and there's Liam. 17th, Owen Simkovich. Donald Green is going to be 18th. Tyler Moore, 19th. And Daryl Zucchelli, that's another newcomer. He's going to peel off his rookie stripes and start 20th. In 21st, Michael Kirk. 22nd, Jeremy Dunwoody, and there's Jeremy. 23rd, John Van Osteren. 24th, in the 04, Corey Palermo. Brian Sharp will go 25th. He has lined up the 125. Braden Langley is having connection issues, as we alluded to. He is not on the grid. That's your starting lineup.
Joao Guerrero has actually disconnected from the server, and we're waiting to see if he will reconnect as well. But the drivers are actually now gridded. They're entering the race surface, and so if Braden Langley or Joao Guerrero come back into the server, they will start from pit lane.
Gotcha, indeed. Matty Wagner apparently is going to have a spotter tonight. How about that? Wags. He's going to be working with Mike Rigney. How about that? Be interested to see.
Well, no, that's a feat, because Mike Rigney just said that he was standing in his garden on his phone.
You know, Mike Rigney standing in his garden on his phone is probably a better spotter than most of the information I get most of the time. So he said he's going to pop into their Discord when he comes inside. Matty Wagner getting all the help that he can get. But there's your starting field, Sam. We're getting ready to bring it to green. This is going to get fun in a hurry, I have a feeling.
I'm a little confused, though. Liam Anderson is saying that it's not him tonight, it's Dad Sean. So I don't know what's going on with that. I didn't know that you could get substitute drivers.
Did not know. Here we go. Here's the green flag. It is out. Racing is on.
Oh, and now we're in the green. Buckle up. It's going to get really racy here at Michigan International Speedway.
It most certainly is, Sam. I know how the IndyCars race here. I have not raced a truck here in a good long time, but I have a feel if it's anything like we're about to see with the open wheel stuff tomorrow, these things are going to be tight and the racing is going to be intense. Paul Witt gets the break. He's going to jump into the lead from Jim Duda. Ryan O'Donohue third. O'Donohue is battling Sweeting on the inside as they go to 3.
It's going to be, I think it's going to be a little bit more interesting than most think, because some drivers are going to push the truck as hard as they can push it in those first 5 laps. And we have one truck that's gone down to the apron, but they're going to push this truck really hard in the first 5 laps to make up as many positions as they can. Now, aero does play a part, especially when you're trying to make a pass. And because there are so many lanes here at Michigan, and some drivers are more proficient in higher lanes or lower lanes, making passes are not always easy. So you have to wait for tire wear to come in to make those passes. If you're the leader, clean air is king. So there's going to be a lot of interesting moves and strategies that play out during these runs.
Also, if you're the leader, you don't have to deal with 3 wide. That's the 98 at Chad Dulabon on the bottom. Ryan O'Donohue in the middle. David Dunwoody swung the 98 up to the top of the course. The front 3 had broken away. Dunwoody clears that 3 wide battle. He's looking for third on Chuck Sweeting.
These drivers behind the first 3, they're going to be really hungry. Some of them, again, we're within that first 5 lap little area where the drivers are going to try and get as much out of the tires as they can. After that, they're probably going to settle in and then be a little more methodical with their passes. However, different leagues, different results. And so now we're seeing a 7-car battle up here at the front.
Yeah, this looks like one of those wild open wheel races that you'd see where guys are 3 and 4 wide laps and laps around. I don't think in a truck you're going to be able to hold that, but while the tires are new, why the heck not? The 67 of Billy Elwell swings it to the bottom, almost makes it 3 wide with Dulabon and Dunwoody. I guess the benefit of being in the front of this deal, Sam, is you don't have to worry about being 3 wide.
It's again, that clean air on the nose it makes a big difference, and you can run the line that you want to run, because if another truck tries to run the bottom, they'll push up, and so they have to let off.
Oh, look at Chad Dulabon shoot the middle.
Oh, it's so close. Oh.
Now, does the draft here play?
David Dunwoody almost caught the wall right there. And that wall will grab you and hold you.
Yes, it will. Does the draft play a big part in these things? Can you push and shove?
Only on the straightaways. Only on the straightaways. You can get a run on someone on the straightaways, but it's not a big run. But nonetheless, it is noticeable.
I'll tell you.
Corners, the way they're banked, it's a little bit more difficult to get any kind of draft off the corners. The arrow is pushing the truck. If you're behind someone, the arrow is really hard to navigate to get any kind of draft.
I'll tell you who got a bit of a draft. My goodness gracious, Chad Dulabon shot out of a cannon out of that 3 wide battle. He runs the fastest lap of the race, Sam. He's going to go to the lead. Meanwhile, Ryan O'Donohue, he's hunting for second place. That's on Jim Duda, or third place rather. That's on Jim Duda. Everybody else is now kind of sorted single file, and this would be what we might expect. The tires have started to come up to temperature. They've got some pressure in them, Sam, and it's going to be one of those deals in this situation where if you're back in that pack, the handling is going to start to fade here. I would think pretty soon. Pretty quickly.
Oh, no question. You're going to see a lot of trucks as the run goes on. And I've actually been seeing some of them already doing it, but some of these trucks are going to start getting loose off of the exit, especially depending on how much throttle you're going to give that truck. And then you lose speed if you try to moderate the throttle. And they're wrecking on the backstretch into the wall.
All right, man. Caution is out. Caution is out.
Justin Osterman is one of those trucks that's involved in this incident.
That is Mr. Excitement, Justin Osterman, and let's see what has happened to him.
I believe that is Jared Duda that is on the inside of him. Justin Osterman hits the wall, bounces off the wall, and comes down and hits Duda in the door. Now, Duda is able to keep the truck straight, but Osterman slides down through the infield, but he doesn't make any contact outside of the door bang with Duda. So I don't know that either truck is going to have any kind of detrimental damage, but that all started with Osterman catching the wall off of 2.
Yes, it did. We saw it from Osterman's perspective. Let's see it from Jared Duda's roll bar, and just an innocent bystander. Duda on the bottom, Mr. Excitement, Justin Osterman on the top. He catches the wall, bounces off, and boom. There you see the turn. I don't really think that Jared Duda, really hit anything all that hard.
He has some right side door damage, and it scraped up the paint a good bit, but I don't think that there's wheel damage there.
No, and that's kind of the silver lining on something like that is that if you do get damage at a track like Michigan, it is a long caution lap. So even if there's a minute or two of damage, he'll be able to get all that fixed just under this yellow light. And speaking of getting it fixed,
Well, they do have quickie cautions here.
they do. But even still, he should be able to get a majority of that fixed. Meanwhile, we do have takers coming into pit road. Jared Duda is coming onto the pit lane, as is Matty Wagner. You've got Mark Cofield coming in. Justin Osterman, of course, is going to come in. But there are drivers that are electing to come down pit road here, just as part of a normal short pit. Cofield and Wagner.
5 sets of tires. There is a freebie out there.
Well,
There
Wagner
is a freebie set of tires.
there is Wagner and Cofield though they got gas only. So
Gotcha.
Oh.
So they're going to get. They will make it to the end of the stage.
yes, they will make it to the end of the stage no matter. Well, I think everybody was going to make it to the end of the stage. I think the play there is we're gonna get what would be a third of a tank of gas. That's going to make our pit stop a little bit shorter, and they think maybe they can make up some time and maybe vault themselves to the front of this thing just by virtue of a shorter pit stop, Sam. Maybe. I know that's what I would be thinking. But I've lost a lot of money trying to think about what Matty Wagner thinks about. So
I thought I was right about some things, and then I thought about it.
Matty Wagner, of course, is going to be, he's the only driver, as a matter of fact.
Now, let's see. It's really hard if you don't start in the top 10 here. It's really difficult to make your way up into the top 10 because passing is such a premium at this racetrack. But Owen Stemkovich actually seems to be our hardest charger, as he started in the 17th position and now he's moved up to 10th.
And there is Owen Simkovich. He is in the number 85 MSA machine. It's that teal blue color, American flags on the trunk and the top. I'd love to see that. He's currently 10th. He started
But
17th.
Brian Sharp actually has moved up 9 spots to 14th from his 25th starting position. So it would actually be Brian Sharp.
You know, it could be. It could be Brian Sharp. Speaking of...
There may not be any trees from 25th to 10th. There may not be.
There may not be. Speaking of Brian Sharp and speaking of the AMA, we do want to thank all of the AMA sponsors here this evening, especially Archway Industrial Coatings. They are the entitlement sponsor of the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series. They're a St. Louis-based flooring company. They've been getting the job done for years. They do epoxy and urethane flooring solutions that withstand the test of time, all while meeting their customers' installation schedules and budgets. They're committed to doing the highest quality work at the lowest possible cost. Every time, get ready to floor it with Archway. That's archwaycoatings.com. And I was about ready to say, Sam, Matty Wagner is the only participant in the field that you are going to see here tomorrow. Big open wheel race. The IndyCar is getting a new scan. It is the last big time super speedway race in the current scan of the car. It'll be right here at Michigan, live at 2:00 on the P1 Broadcasting Network.
Green flag.
Chad Dulabon.
Hi, Wag. Yeah, we see you, Wags. Absolutely, we see you. Now we're back under green as we come to the stripe. And our leader, Chad Dulabon, gets out to a big jump, which really is not going to benefit him. That crowd's going to catch him really quick.
Yes, he is.
But now the tires have cooled off, and some drivers may be able to make some moves here in the early laps.
Yeah, you can kind of see it. Wagner was tailing Charlie on this deal, and you can kind of see him popping in and out back there. He's already made up 5 spots from when he came in, and so Wagner is definitely on the charge. Here they come. They're going to roar down this front straightaway. There's the lead for Chad Dulabon, but you've got Jim Duda and Paul Witt hooked up on that outside, and they're almost bump drafting down the front straightaway here, Sam.
You can give your driver in front of you a little push on entry there, and it will give them a boost. There's no in these trucks, it's possible, but you really have to be careful to hit that truck and hit it square. You really don't want to miss it, because if you miss it, you're going to cause a catastrophe.
Yes, indeed. There's the lead for Dulamon. They fan out behind him. Watching it from, well, there used to be stands down there. There are not anymore. The concrete pad is still there. Turn 3, now you're in the main grandstand looking at looking at the action.
Well, I was getting ready to say, Chad Dulamon he's actually doing something that's real. Oh, he gets into the wall on entry there.
Yeah, he did.
But he's doing something really rare, is as these trucks are getting racy behind him,
he's pulling away.
He's able to turn some hot laps, and he is slowly starting to put some space. If he can break that draft,
he can run away.
Second place car, he can pull away.
Yeah, and you saw it right there. Ryan O'Donohue, Chuck Sweeting, Paul Witt, David Dunwoody, all in a battle. All that did was slow all those cars down. It allowed Chad Dulamon to get about an 7/8 of a second lead. Call it 15 car lengths over the car of Jim Duda. And here's the interval up to the front.
That's another 10th and a half. He made up on Jim Duda there.
Yeah, I mean, Chad Dulamon is pulling away, and Jim Duda is not getting a lot of benefit of that draft. As you see, Chad Dulamon is pulling away. Now, remember, there is a stage caution. It is at 30 laps, and so we're going to have a competition caution at 30, but Dulamon has separated himself now from this field, and there you see it coming down the front straight. It is a big, big gap down to P2.
Now, some of these drivers, it looks like they may have just gotten in line to try and make sure that Dulamon does not get too far away. Now, that particular lap, he was still a half a tenth faster than Jim Duda. He has steadily been pulling into a little bit bigger of a lead, but now these trucks are starting to line up behind him.
Yes, they are, and we'll get the camera on Chad Dulamon.
Now, in the race that I was in last night, myself and another truck, we were able to pull away from the field together, but there was a truck that had 5-lap pressure tires, and we had 8 seconds on him, but he was able to turn laps alone that were as fast as what we were drafting together, and so he actually almost caught us by the end of the race.
My goodness gracious. I would love to show Chad Dulamon, but this battle between Jim Duda, Paul Witt, David Dunwoody, Chad Winstead, Ryan O'Donohue, it rages. They cannot stop from trying to put each other 3 wide. Jim Duda has secured second for now, but every time these drivers slam into the banking here at Michigan, P3
Dulamon pulls away further.
Yeah. Well, Dulamon pulls away further, but these guys all fan out. They're trying desperately to get 3 and 4 wide, Sam. They're trying.
Well, there's just more wear on these tires, and the more wear that you get, the more the aero comes into play, and the passes become even more difficult. And that's why you're seeing a lot of the drivers move up to the middle and the top of the racetrack, so that as the loose condition begins to kick in. Now, for some drivers, it'll get a little tight off of 2, depending on how high you are on the racetrack on exit. But a lot of drivers will not be able to take the truck to the bottom just simply because they lose so much speed and the truck gets a little out of hand.
It does. Now, can you save tires by running any particular line here, Sam? We're watching David Dunwoody.
Oh, and we see Duda almost loses it. He saves the truck and goes down to the bottom of the racetrack, and that opens the lanes up for the trucks behind him. But that's that loose condition I was telling you about, as he loses 2 spots, 3 spots.
Yeah, he lost all of his momentum, and David Dunwoody had to take evasive action from behind Jim Duda. He's going to get loosened up again coming off of turn number 2. You saw that truck wiggle in the middle of the corner, yep. Sam. That baby is a handful.
And the more laps that these trucks get on it, the more it gets that way. And Chad Dulamon, as fast as he is, we do not know how much tire he's using. And he may like a loose racetrack.
He may.
It just depends.
He may, but of course he's out there in clean air. He doesn't have to worry about. He doesn't have to worry about a car in front of him disturbing the air on the nose. He doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about a truck on his rear deck lid taking the air off of that spoiler. Do want to alert our fans to some other drivers in the field tonight. There's Billy Elwell. He is running 8th. That's about as good as we've seen Billy run.
Oh, and he almost runs Hutchins into the wall there. I think Hutchins did a little bit of an evasive maneuver. He thought maybe Billy Elwell was coming up the track, so he touched the wall. I don't think there's any harm or foul there.
I don't think so either.
See how high these trucks are moving up the racetrack? They're just battling this loose condition.
Yeah, I don't think that that's anything anything there for Billy Elwell, but it did give us a moment. Ted Craven, the teddy bear, he is running in ninth, and if there is a man that's due for a good finish, it's Ted Craven. He's run well a lot this year and doesn't have much to show for it. He is in ninth. John Hutchins in the 72, he is 10th, and look who has snuck into 11th. That's the 125 of Brian Sharp. He is up by my count, Sam, 14 spots. So nice work for Brian Sharp.
Those are two drivers that I would really love to see get a great finish. Is Ted Craven, who's running into so much adversity this year, and Michael Kirk. It just seems like those two drivers always have a tendency to that something befalls them and ruins their night. So I'd really like to see both those drivers be able to have a good race. And right now, Ted Craven's doing a great job, and Michael Kirk still has a lot of time to move up from his 18th position.
Yes, he does. There's Corey Palermo. He is running along in 12th. Matty Wagner, he made that early pit stop. He dropped to 22nd when he got out of pit lane. Matt Wagner has moved up to 13th. And remember, caution is going to fly. He does not need 10 laps of gas that the other guys do need. So keep an eye on that. Justin Osterman, Mr. Excitement, back up to 14th after having damaged his truck in the only caution thus far. Mark Cofield is 15th. There he is. Daryl Zucchelli, new man in the league. Daryl is 16th in the 43 truck. There he is. John Van Ostrand, he is 17th in the number 70. Good to see John. Michael Kirk, the aforementioned, he is 18th, but he has plenty of time. And you're right, Sam. There he is, the number 54. Jeremy Dunwoody in the 99. He runs along in 19th. Tyler Moore is going to round out the top 20. That is the Trex truck. Is that Trex like the stuff you build your deck out of, Sam? I would think.
What was that?
Is that like the stuff you build your deck out of? Tracks, something like that.
There is a product called that. Yeah.
There's I would assume DeWalt logos on that truck as well. There's Owen Simkovich in 21st. Donald Green runs along in 22nd. Jarrett Duda is 23rd and bringing up shotgun on the field. That's the Liam Anderson truck in 24th. Last car on the lead lap. All cars are on the lead lap, and we're going to bring you back right to the front because the battle from second to 7th
has no battle with Chad Doodlebon. Chad Doodlebon is taking tours in downtown Detroit because he is in a whole new area code.
Yes, he is. He has waved adios, Sam. But look at this battle from second to what? Second to 6th. They've been all over each other since the restart on lap 10, and they have not stopped. Lap 12, excuse me.
Yeah, these drivers, you could put a blanket over these 5 trucks right here. Now, it was a pack of 7 at one point, but now it's just narrowed itself down with Chad Doodlebon pulling away, and now these 5 trucks have been battling it out for the second position. Paul Wick grabbed that spot a few laps back, and he's still riding there. And Chad Winstead has proved he has at other racetracks, he has a good long run truck. So he's going to make this pass on Paul Witt coming out of 2. Paul Witt's going to bring it right back as a crossover, and Ryan O'Donoghue is going to go door to door with Jim Duda as they head down the backstretch.
Yes, they are. 2x2 they go, and Chad Doodlebon, well, he just whistles right on away into the distance. 2.9 seconds. He is 0.3 of a second a lap faster than this battle for second. And the more they run side by side, the more Chad Doodlebon disappears into the distance. You can visibly see the gap. As a matter of fact, if we got to Chad Doodlebon and we got on his gearbox, that's what that looks like, Sam. He is about half of the back straightaway ahead of his competitors. And that's incredible at this stage of the race.
Oh, and he's running a very conservative line. He's right above that first seam in 3 and 4. In 1 and 2, I noticed that he has a little bit of a high entry and a low exit. but he's taken a very classic lap here, and he has been able to maintain great speed and great tire wear, and lap after lap. He's almost like a machine tonight, that he's just consistently turning these laps and pulling away from the field.
Yes, he is. And there's Chad Dulabon.
It's a rare thing. It is a rare thing in these trucks.
Yes, it is. And to see that big of an advantage in what amounts to a 15-lap green flag run, kudos to Chad Dulabon. I don't want to not give him his due, but we do have a
on the
caution.
Speedway.
Corey Palermo is around on the back, the 0-4, and let's take a look at the happenings for Corey Palermo. Here he is. He's coming off of turn number 2, and the rears just go away for Corey. He's going to come off of there, and Justin Osterman kind of gets into the back of him.
Actually, his rears went away because he got a little bit of help.
He did, but they were going away before that. He's going to come in and make some pretty heavy contact.
He got a little loose off exit, just a little loose.
Yeah,
and Osterman was there.
Yes, he was. Let's see if we can't get, one more time. We'll get on board. Matt Wagner had his life flash before his eyes. There's Matty Wags, the Horizon IndyCar Series on the television panel of that truck. We'll give him his mentions. We're going to see them on Wednesday nights. But yeah, there's the contact between Palermo and Osterman. Around goes the 0-4 and
just hard. A little wiggle there with Palermo. Just a little wiggle. I think he would have been fine.
That may or may not be true, Sam. Had they called the stage?
Super close racing.
Yes, it is. Had they called the stage? Just to be fair.
I have not heard.
Copy that. So the stage break here is at lap number 30. Now, normally speaking in the AMA, they would call the stage. They would close the pits here and do a couple of caution laps. And
the pits have not been closed yet.
Okay.
Now Brian Sharp has thrown the caution out. Now they're calling the stage.
And we can do that here in the AMA because we can do that here in the AMA. There are several drivers who do have admin privileges, Brian Sharp being among those. And if you look at the sponsor on the Brian Sharp machine as he runs in 9th, you'll see Admin Box on the side of that car. Admin Box is a special button box made by iRacers. It's for iRacers, and it allows you to admin a race with a special box from the cockpit. And so you can throw a caution, you can give black flags, you can clear flags. It has replay controls on it. Admin Box is race control at the touch of a button, and you can see their Discord, join their Facebook page. But they're excellent products, and we do appreciate their support of the AMA. Do also want to appreciate every single person who's out there watching. Sam, it's another big crowd here on AMA Truck Night here on the P1 Broadcasting Channel, and we do want to sincerely thank everybody who's in the audience. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button. Smash the like button on the video, ring the bell to subscribe, and be notified of all future P1 broadcasting action. Tomorrow is a big one, Sam. 2 o'clock. 600 kilometers in an IR-18 right here at Michigan. A $501 purse has been announced for that race. How about that?
Wow. That should be some incentive for some drivers out there.
I was going to say, if you're not motivated by the trophy, you can be motivated by the money, and certainly there's a little bit up for grabs tomorrow. Garrett Gotzo and I are going to have that at 2 o'clock tomorrow for everybody. I believe we're going to start the broadcast at about.
Matt Wagner's actually in the server talking about, oh boy, I get to race this track tomorrow too.
It's going to be a little bit of a little bit different conditions though. We came up with the race session, and so it's going to be, if any of the drivers that are in that race tomorrow, Matty Wagner is in there. He's going to be running in that deal. It's going to be a bit warmer in that race than it is here today. Just a bit. And speaking of weather here in Michigan, 80 degrees on the track, 80 degrees in the air, 116 on the track, wind blowing them down the front stretch, headwind down the back, 33% humidity. It doesn't get much better than this for a motor race, does it, Sam?
I'm sorry, I was listening to the server chatter that's going on. That race control is actually going to hold the drivers For for our viewers that are watching, if you're wondering why there's so many pace laps, so administration is just working on the end of the stage here, and so they're going to hold the drivers one more lap and allow them to circle the track one more time before pit entry, before the pits are open for entry, and that will put them on the right schedule as far as the stages and fuel and everything that they already had planned for the race and for the event. So if you're wondering why there's so many caution laps, the administration is working on that. So
Yes, they are indeed. We do anticipate that the pits will open this time, and everybody
next time by.
and everybody's going to come in now. The cars that I want people to watch: Matt Wagner, Justin Osterman, Mark Cofield. Maybe not Osterman because he may have damage, but Wagner and Cofield came in under the first caution of the event, and they took gas only. Why is that important? Well, there's a third of a tank full of Sunoco Racing fuel that does not need to go in to the 17 or the 97. And
it could save them a second on a pit stop.
It could. Now, a second on a pit stop is big doings at a track like this. You might be able to pick up 3 or 4 spots. And so
they still would have to change 4 tires, which would entail at least 11 seconds, 10 to 11 seconds to change those tires. And then just with the short fuel, it might be a 13-second stop.
It might be
12 and a half. It just depends. It just depends.
It might be. A typical stop in these things is about
14 seconds.
Yeah, it's 14 and change. So,
at the highest.
At the highest.
14 at the highest.
Now, do keep in mind that the other trucks that are out here, Sam, they should just about be bingo on fuel, we would think. So,
well, they're getting close. But I think that they still, because we have had some caution laps, I think that they're more than comfortable as far as fuel goes.
Here they come.
And now the pits are open, and it's a wholesale parking lot down on pit lane right now as all the drivers come in for fresh Goodyear Eagles.
Yes, they do. Do want to point out that Jared Duda did come in, Jared Duda has come in and affected some repair. That's an end-of-the-line penalty. Paul Witt overshot his pit box. Did you see that, Sam?
I did not. I was focusing on Palermo to see.
Well, we got one around. That's the 85. We've got one around in the back. That is the 85.
That's Braden Langley.
Yeah. No. Well, it's Owen.
Oh no, Braden Langley's the 83.
Owen Simkovich.
Owen Simkovich.
So let's take a look and see what's happened to Owen Simkovich here. He went around on the pit lane.
I think he was trying. Oh, we see the fit. Michael Kirk gets into Jeremy Dunwoody, and then that caused Simkovich to slow down. And then Donald Green gets into the back of him. But there was a significant contact between Jeremy Dunwoody and Michael Kirk as well, right ahead of them.
Yeah, you see it. There's Dunwoody and Kirk. They don't quite phase through each other as they're supposed to when they get in the pit box. Donald Green Simkovich trying to avoid, slams the brakes. Donald Green gets into the bag of him. Around she goes. The good news is that's not really going to hurt much, except that Owen Simkovich, Michael Kirk, they're going. Jared Duda is on pit lane under repair, but Simkovich is going to come out 22nd shotgun on the field. Jeremy Dunwoody, Corey Palermo, Donald Green, and Justin Osterman also took significant repair under that yellow. The truck.
Jared Dudas has sat on pit lane for quite a while.
He's coming back out.
I think that he was incurring some of the damage, or trying to repair some of the damages that he got in the earlier incident with Justin Osterman.
Yeah, you can see it, Sam, on the right side of that truck.
You can, yeah. Fortunately, it's on the door.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just all optional. It's all optional. Just cosmetic damage.
And that's possible. We are looking.
There's still a lot of racing left.
There most certainly are. While we are under caution, we do want to thank our sponsors here in the AMA, including Black Magic Studios. That's a paint that's worth 2 tenths. You can find David Dunwoody and that crew over Black Magic Studios on Discord. They also do have a Facebook page, Trak Racer. Do want to thank them, as well as Rogue Energy Drink. If you go to Rogue Energy and you use the code AMA24, you can get yourself 10% off the world's best gaming energy drink. That's AMA 24 at rogueenergy.com. And so do want to encourage anybody there. If you need a little bit of pick me up, AMA 24, get 10% off your order at Rogue Energy drink. We are here under caution. It is the first stage caution in the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series Rogue Energy 200. Chad Dulabon is your leader behind the pace truck. Chad Winstead second, Jim Duda third, Ryan O'Donohue fourth, Paul Witt rounds out your top five. The one-armed bandit has avoided trouble thus far, Sam, and we know he's got some fans in that chat too.
Ryan O'Donohue has fans everywhere he goes. It's not just in the chat.
O'Donohue, of course, is one of those guys that he has run a lot of different stuff here on the P1 Broadcasting Channel. He does the Xfinity Series on Thursday night, the Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series. We've seen him without a roof on Mondays in the Internet Sim Racing Association ISRA events. We've seen him here in the Truck Series on Fridays. Good to see a good community guy. One of the guys that we do not have here tonight, Logan Edwards, I know he's off preparing for the 600 tomorrow, and so Logan does not.
And Del Paul is not with us tonight.
Yeah, he's off at a racetrack for real, and we're going to have to heckle him about that when he comes back. That's not permitted. If you are entered in a sim race, you must compete. You don't get to go to the races for real, Sam.
Where's your loyalty, Kendall?
That's right. And all well and good. We do heckle Kendall, but that's all well and good. I'm glad that he's able to go do that. If I had the chance to be at a racetrack, I would be there too, Sam.
I think I'm listening to a lot of chatter. It's really nice. It's refreshing when you tune into a race and you actually hear a lot of respect between the drivers. They own up to their mistake. If they made a mistake, they're apologizing. They're talking to one another. They're working it out. A lot of times you catch drivers that are getting very frustrated and they're very, very vocal, and administrators are having to quiet them down. But sometimes you get into a league where there's a commonality of respect among the drivers, and tonight's one of those nights. The guys are being really mindful of each other, so I really appreciate that here at the AMA and what these guys are presenting.
Yes, they do, and yes, I do.
Back under green, and that's I believe that's Jim Duda that has pulled back up into second place in front of Chad Winstead.
It is indeed. Chad Dulabon resumes the lead, but now he's got Jim Duda behind him. We've got fresh tires on these trucks, Sam. And that's a huge thing. Now Chad Winstead, he's going to drop.
Chad Winstead goes to make a move and gets loose. Now these trucks are going to get loose. There's no way around it. It's 117 track temp at 12:37 in the afternoon, and so the track is only going to get hotter, and these trucks will get more unmanageable.
Yes, they will. Here is that weather that Sam just called out. 80 degrees in the air, 117 on the track. It's getting hotter. As it gets hotter, you're going to see the trucks get a lot more free, especially down in turns 1 and 2, because that northeast wind, that 12 miles an hour, that's a tailwind down the front, ladies and gentlemen. And so that is going to play fits with the handling at one end of the speedway. Paul Witt and Chad Winstead, they're playing fits with each other, Sam. You're getting closer than that. There's going to be some paint traded between those two trucks.
Well, you're not going to be able to distinguish the two makes between each other, that's for sure. But once again, Chad Dulabon is proving that he has the truck with the most cubic inches under the hood tonight, because he is pulling away again.
Yeah, there it is from the roof of Jim Duda. Chad Dulabon has waved adios. 0.3 of a second.
I wonder if he's an introvert in real life, because he certainly doesn't like to play with others. It is apparent that Chad Dulabon has showed up to Michigan International Speedway to win this race.
Yes, he has. He is. You see him. He's running almost and it's a great view from the roll hoop of Jim Duda here. Just because.
Now look at these early laps. Look how low he is in the corners.
Yeah,
and the tires are fresh. He's going all the way down to the yellow line.
Well, not just that.
As the run goes, he moves up.
Not just that, but he's running a qualifying line every single time around this race course. If you watch Dulabon here from the roll hoop or the roof of Jim Duda's car, roll hoop, roof. You can tell I'm an open wheel guy. Watch Dulabon here down the front stretch. Duda stays high, to follow the natural racing line. Chad Dulabon goes all the way down to the apron. He
doesn't want any sniff of any kind of draft.
No, he doesn't. But
behind him.
He doesn't. But he is also treating every one of these laps like it is the second lap of qualifying. Dulabon reaches out and races away from Jim Duda here. He's built a 1 second lead in 5 laps of green flag action. So while Chad Dulabon races off into the distance, we'll keep the battle right here because once again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, call it 8 trucks.
Yeah.
Are in a wad.
Yeah, we've got it. Is that 8 trucks or 9 trucks that we have a breakaway there?
Let's get in the P1 airship and see.
Well, there's 8 trucks behind Dulabon, so that's
yeah, it's
the lead. But
yeah, Jim Duda.
8 trucks together in that second pack.
Yeah, all the way back to John Hutchins in 9th. So that would be 8 trucks. They were attempting to go 3 wide there for a minute, Sam, and kind of thought better of it. Everybody backed out. But now Ryan O'Donohue, he'll drop it to the bottom of Billy Elwell. See if he can't grab the spot. He's got a little bit of assistance from the 28 of David Dunwoody. Great shots from the P1 airship. Do want to thank Whiplash SimCams for those. If you're an iRacing photographer or...
Big push from Dunwoody right there.
Yes, it was. But if you're an iRacing broadcaster or photographer, hit up with Whiplash SimCams. They're the one that give us these cameras. They are pretty doggone amazing. Watching from the blimp, Sam, is where this is.
Some of these drivers that are chasing Dulabon, they may just get into the mindset, well, we're not going to catch him, so let's just race for the positions that we're at right now. And that may be what you're going to see in this second pack, that these trucks that are following Dulabon, but they're so closely knit together here in this particular run, they're so even. And so that you could very well find these drivers fighting it out for this second stint right here. This will be probably some of your closest racing.
You can. Now, the truck that I've been most impressed with, Billy Elwell, he was not figured in this battle to begin, to end the first stage. He has driven himself up to 5th. Billy Elwell has he's in the preferred line, which seems to be that middle groove.
And he gets loose just as you say that.
He did, but then Ron O'Donoghue's loose.
Oh, and O'Donoghue. He saves it and goes. He's cutting the grass down through the infield. He'll lose a lot of positions here. He may even lose this pack. He saves the truck, and so he'll be able to catch this next group that are coming behind him. But boy, talk about a close call for Ryan O'Donoghue right there. It
was indeed. Let's see if we can't get on board here. You see him dirt tracking it off of turn 4. We're just going to go he's just going to go cut some grass here. That's not as easy as it looks.
Elwell got a little loose in front of him, and I think maybe Ryan O'Donoghue went to do an evasive type maneuver and realized he didn't have the grip to do it. He's just brilliant driving by Ryan O'Donoghue there. Brilliant. And
keep in mind, the one-arm bandit's doing that with his left in a sling. Recently had surgery on his right arm, or on his left arm, and so he's driving one-handed. Yeah, he's driving one-handed, which makes it even more amazing. He'll slide back in 9th position. He's about 2 seconds off of David Dunwoody, who is now firmly ensconced in 8th. Meanwhile, we need to go back to this battle because it has not abated. Jim Duda is underneath Chad Winstead. Paul Witt is right behind them. They've got a little bit of a gap back to Elwell, who gets loose.
Chuck Sweeting has to take an evasive move. The trucks are getting extremely loose off of turn 4. Billy Elwell has had a handful of his truck the last 3 laps. The trucks behind him are also starting to show signs of loose conditions, and Chuck Sweeting was trying to be evasive like Ryan O'Donoghue, and he had to bring the truck down to the lower side of the track in turn 4.
Yes, indeed it is. There's Jim Duda. He is 2nd. Chad Winstead 3rd. Paul Witt 4th. There's a little bit of a gap back to Billy Elwell now in 5th. Then Chuck Sweeting and John Hutchins. And all of these trucks right here, that's Elwell, Sweeting, Hutchins, and Dunwoody, they have all been fighting for purchase from the rear Goodyears on the exit of turn number 4 for the last 2 or 3 laps at least. That has broken this pack up just a little bit. So let's go back and take a look at this battle, which is the next closest on the track. This is Brian Sharp in 13th, Daryl Zucchelli in 14th. They are the next best race here, but they don't seem, they don't seem to be in immediate contact, or at least side by side. And then the Liam Anderson machine, it is under fire from Ted Craven. That is 15th and 16th. Liam Anderson and the Liam Anderson truck, and the number 30, the Teddy Bear, that is Ted Craven.
Outside of our front runners, the field is really starting to separate itself. And I kind of thought that might be what the case is with the track temperature the way that it is. Some drivers are fine with a loose condition, a loose truck or a loose car, like Chad Doodlebon apparently lives, breathes, and eats on loose conditions because he continues to drive away. But then other drivers may struggle in that condition. And so Billy Elwell, like I said, he's had a handful of truck for several laps, and he's had to fight it, especially off turn 4.
I'm going to tell you who's not struggling one bit to pass anybody. That's Justin Osterman. He's moved it just around Jared Duda to claim 10th spot. If you don't recall, it wasn't too long ago, Sam, that truck was broken and on pit lane and under significant repair. Osterman's got it fixed. He's driven it back to 10th. Ryan O'Donohue also gets around John Hutchins, so move O'Donohue from 9th to 8th. He has just about caught David Dunwoody in 7th and Billy Elwell in 6th. If you recall, O'Donohue had that moment, got kicked out of line, got it loose. Ryan O'Donohue has brought that truck almost 2 seconds back to the rear deck lid of David Dunwoody, and he was 0.3 of a second quicker the last 2 laps than Dunwoody. And I gotta wonder, Sam, is being in clean air for just that short period of time save some level of tire for O'Donohue, that he's now in better shape than the trucks he was racing around? Dunwoody and Elwell both glance off the wall coming out of turn number 2. O'Donohue's going to pull it to the high side.
The later we get into this run, we're really going to be getting into precarious ground where you could very well see. Oh, and we see Paul Witt. The drivers behind him were waving at him. He was looking at them.
Let's see it. Here's Paul Witt. He's coming off it. Woo-hoo! There he goes.
Talk about a handful of race truck.
Yes, he did, but a great save from Paul Witt. It'll make the Goodyears mad, but the sheet metal, the body man is happy.
We're going to see a lot of that in the next 10 laps. We're going to see several drivers that are going to be really pushing the issue with this loose condition in this heat.
Like Jim Duda just did off it too, and here comes Sweeting, yeah.
Chad Winstead a push, yeah.
Do want to thank everybody who's watching here on the P1 Broadcasting channel. If you haven't already done so, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe, and be notified of all future iRacing events here at P1. It's week 13 next week, but we're not going to let this season go out with a bang. Tomorrow, over $500 in posted prize money for the P1 600. That's going to be IndyCars right here on the P1 Broadcasting channel. Race start at 2 o'clock. Do want to thank Archway Industrial Coatings, Black Magic Studios, Admin Box, Trak Racer, and Rogue Energy Drink for their sponsorship of this event. You're watching Chad Doodlebon dominate just past halfway in the Rogue Energy 200 from Michigan. This is the battle.
It's insane that he's pulling away like this. It's insane. It's just a class in driving at this track under these conditions that Chad Doodlebon's able to do what he's doing.
Yes, it is. I mean, school is definitely in session, but the battle and the fun, that's for second. That's Jim Duda, Chuck Sweeting, Chad Winstead, and Paul Witt. Ryan O'Donohue has now moved around Billy Elwell and David Dunwoody. And so O'Donohue is going to be there, although he keeps sliding like that, he's not going to be there. That truck just about came around off turn number 2. And let's get on.
Considering where he was cutting grass just a handful of laps earlier, this is pretty impressive for Ryan O'Donohue to be able to do what he's doing. And he's actually, it looks like he may be even closing the gap on Paul Witt, who's in that 5th spot.
I want to call attention to this. We're going to get on board Ryan O'Donohue. We're going to get in the cockpit. And I want the fans here. This is what he sees I want you to watch the
wheel. Watch
steering
the
wheel
wheel in this truck as he's fighting it. Yeah. For some, you look on the broadcast and you may be watching the truck and you think, oh, the back end gets a little loose. Well, when you're in the cockpit of these trucks and you're driving and that steering wheel's in your hand, it is a lot more than just that truck gets a little loose. It is a uncontrolled catastrophe, and you're trying to control it.
Yeah, this would be right out of his right eyeball. My goodness gracious. There's only one other guy that I've ever seen be able to drive a stock car quite that out of shape, and that would be our good friend Lionel Callisto, who does that.
Callisto is a very gifted racer. Yeah, he really is.
Yes, he is. But Callisto, when you watch his on board, he'd be looking like he's driving a 410 sprint car. O'Donoghue, not quite that extreme, but he is definitely dirt tracking that truck around this track, and he is making it work. He's pulled away from Elwell, Dunwoody, and Hutchins, and he is looking out the front, looking to try to get that E&I truck up to Paul Witt, Chad Winstead, and Chuck Sweeting. He's got 6 more laps to do it. Sweeting gets
Sweeting
loose.
again gets a handful of truck there off of turn 4. I don't know how these drivers are saving these trucks lap after lap after lap.
They're doing a bang up job of it, Sam. That is very difficult to save a truck that's that out of shape. They go through turn 1. They almost look like the Blue Angels in a diamond. Jim Duda is going to come out of that still in second place. Sweeting, he's underneath Chad Winstead. Sweeting trying to take third spot away. Can't quite get there down the back. Paul Witt doesn't know where to go, and all that does is let Ryan O'Donoghue edge ever closer to the fight for second. The lead is Chad Dulabon, and he is gone, Sam. 4.8 seconds now, 4.9 seconds. Give the leader his due. We've got 5 laps to go in the stage, and I got to wonder if anybody else has tried to figure out anything that they've got.
Right. No, at the pace and the speed that Chad Dulabon is on in this race, it's really going to challenge some of these drivers to figure out what they can do strategy-wise, because clearly they're not going to beat Chad Dulabon on speed alone. So it may take some strategy in the last segment to try and figure out how they're going to maintain at least a possible attempt at keeping up with Chad Dulabon and not allow him to get out to a 6-second lead or bigger by the end of a stage. This is an impressive run by Chad Dulabon, and these drivers in 2nd through 6th, they're putting on a show behind him.
They are indeed. I jumped on board with Chad Dulabon just to kind of highlight the difference between what he was doing and what Ryan O'Donoghue was feeling in the number 14 machine. Dulabon seems to be a lot more stable mid-corner, but he is correcting a little bit greater of an angle to the right than even Ryan O'Donoghue, and so you got to wonder if maybe that's going to show up in the longer runs that we're going to have to end this stage.
Oh, and now Chad Winstead's down through the infield.
Not only that, they were 4 wide. My goodness me. We can't get away.
He's going to fall off of this pack here. He's going to fall off here. Paul Witt moves securely into 2nd place, and Ryan O'Donoghue, who was in his John Deere truck not too long ago, has decided that the grass is plenty short now, and he taken that cool grass across the radiator, and he has pulled his truck up into the 3rd spot.
That's incredible that Chad Winstead and Jim Duda did not hit each other, because they both got loose at exactly the same moment. Meanwhile, Ryan O'Donoghue has brought his one-arm lawn mowing crew up to 3rd. He is now past Sweeting.
Pushed by Sweeting.
He gets the push from Sweeting. There is a pretty doggone good chance.
All right, man. Caution
Oh,
is out.
Yellow.
Caution on the speedway. Caution on the speedway.
It's David Dunwoody hard into the outside wall. He's down, in the front straightaway.
He's actually collected someone else there.
So here we go. Here's David Dunwoody. He's racing.
Oh, they were 3 wide down the front stretch, almost 4 wide.
Yeah, let's see.
They were 4 wide.
They were 4 wide. So there's where it starts. Michael Kirk.
That's Billy Elwell there, squeezing it in between Michael Kirk, David Dunwoody. He squeezes it in there. That's a really narrow spot to squeeze a truck. He catches Dunwoody, and Michael Kirk just happens to be there as well.
So there's Elwell. He gets into Dunwoody, turns Kirk. Elwell takes severe damage to the front. Kirk gets shot down to the inside. And I imagine he's going to take a hard lick here. We'll get on board with Michael. We'll get looking at the Michael Kirk truck. Watch this. There's the hit. Here comes Michael Kirk. And watch this thing come down the inside. Just rockets down there. He actually doesn't hit anything yet, Michael Kirk. Okay, so Kirk got it stopped without any further damage. David Dunwoody.
Yeah, it didn't look like he hit anyone after that.
Yeah, David Dunwoody severely damaged, and somehow Ted Craven took severe damage and has a meatball.
And Ted Craven actually had a connection issue earlier, and he had gone 9 laps down. Michael Kirk actually, now he falls 1 lap down. David Dunwoody will have extensions repairs as well. I would assume that
there are no.
Elwell.
I would right. Dunwoody, Kirk, and Elwell are all going to have significant repair. Again, though, here at Michigan, you've got a minute 20, right, in a pace lap. So you've got time. Because of the rate, because of the D shape in the oval, you've probably got what, a minute 30 that you can sit there and make repairs, Sam.
It's a significant amount, especially when you're talking about optional damage. Most of the time is what you're waiting to repair, and so it can take, especially if it's cosmetic, there may be an extensive amount of optional damage that you have to fix, and those long laps certainly come into play in helping you get as much repaired as you can. And some drivers will wait till the last second and then speed off, come back again, but being quickie cautions with 2 mile and longer tracks, it's hard to get back into the pits the second time and get repairs before the pace car catches you again.
Yes, indeed. That's Chad Dulabon leading Paul Witt. This is as close as anybody has been to Chad Dulabon. We are, I'm assuming, at the end of the second stage. Into the pit lane comes everybody. They're going to have a 40-lap dash to the end. You cannot quite make it unless you're Harry Gant.
Yeah, it'll be a little less than 40 laps. This caution's been extended by the administrators, but like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, you're going to be in a very small window. If there's a caution that comes out during this last stint, then the drivers are going to stay out unless they come for a set of tires. If it stays green, it's going to be close on mileage.
Yes, they are. I did notice that Jim Duda had a little bit of problems getting it into his pit box there. And how about this? I think Paul Witt is going to beat Chad Dulabon off a pit lane. And wouldn't that be something? Paul Witt was 14.3 in the pit box, Sam. He beat Chad Dulabon off a pit road. So doesn't that shake things up just a little bit?
Well, it's certainly going to... It's going to push Chad Dulabon to do what he did at the beginning of the race. Chad Dulabon, who did not qualify on the front row, he qualified 5th. So he had, after about 5 or 6 laps, he had made his way to the front. Now he's going to have to race with a little bit closer traffic, and he's not going to be able to get the jump on this restart. And that's where he's been able to benefit the last two restarts, is that he has been able to get a much better launch in the Geico restart zone, and that has allowed him to kind of get his rhythm and pull away sooner. Again, it surprises me that he can pull out to such a significant lead over a long run. But I think those restarts have been an instrumental factor to that, and he won't be able to do that this time.
No, he's going to start with a disadvantage. Paul Witt is going to have the lead going into turn number 1, most likely off of this restart, because he's going to be able to dictate when he goes in the Geico restart zone, and that is so big.
We're in that small. I just think we're really going to be close on fuel.
We are. I was going to say it's going to be close unless you're Harry Gant. We mentioned the handsome one because
or you're just, or like you were saying earlier, Mark, if you're just proficient with the clutch. Now, clutching at Michigan is not as beneficial because you lose momentum once you release the clutch back out. So it is harder to maintain speed when you're clutching. So you're going to have to be creative in how you use the clutch if that's what you want to do.
or micro lifting or.
Yeah, that's well said. That's well said. And that, or you're just going to have to, if you're running in a pack of trucks, then you're going to utilize that throttle and be a little bit more lenient about whether you're going to be full throttle down the straightaways or not, and just utilize the draft to pull you along. Some drivers may just want to ride in the pack and just kind of settle into a spot until they know that they can make it.
There you go. The light's still on the pace truck. We're going to have 37 laps to go this time, which means that we're getting into range where you're going to have to start thinking about saving the fuel. Paul Witt is the leader. Chad Dulabon is second. Chuck Sweeting third. Chad Winstead.
I think you're there anyway.
Yeah. John Hutchins is fifth. Did want to thank our entitlement sponsor for the AMA Truck Series, Archway Industrial Coatings. They do flooring in St. Louis epoxy and urethane-based flooring solutions that withstand the test of time while meeting their customers' installation schedules and budgets. They're committed to doing the highest quality work at the lowest possible cost every time. Get ready to floor it with Archway. That's archwaycoatings.com. We do want to thank everybody who has joined us here on the P1 Broadcasting Channel.
Great crowd tonight.
Yes.
Super crowd tonight. We're so glad to have you.
Yes, we are. 65 currently watching the AMA Truck Series. 37 laps to go here at the Michigan International Speedway. Paul Witt is your leader. Chad Dulabon second. Sweeting, Winstead, Elwell round out your top five. How about Brian Sharpen?
Big shout out to John Hutchins and Mark Cofield, who've worked their way up here into the top 10, as well as Daryl Zucchelli. So we're seeing some names that are just they're just slowly, methodically working their way up to the front. It's really exciting to see that drivers have planned the race where in the last stage that they can put themselves in a place where they can try to make a run for the win at the end of the race here.
They are indeed, Sam. And I'll tell you what, Justin Osterman in the 53, he is 12th. I'm gonna bet you a shiny new dime, Sam, that he does not finish there.
Well, he's actually in 11th now, so that now that the scoring has cleared itself out, and he's on the inside row.
Okay, 11th.
Justin is he's actually proven that he's not one that likes to sit back in the field.
We don't call him Mr. Excitement for nothing, fans. Here they come. They stream.
Look at this big jump that Paul Witt gets. Now Paul Witt's thinking, if it works for Dulabon, let's see if it works for me. But Chuck Sweeting is not going to let Paul Witt get away.
No, and that's to the detriment of Chad Dulabon. Dulabon is now hung up in third, although he's going to get the run to the outside.
I'm so surprised Chuck Sweeting let him have that lane. I am so surprised. If I'm Chuck Sweeting, I'm doing everything I can to keep Dulabon behind me. He is way too fast tonight.
Yep, same with
he let him go, and now here's Dulabon, and he's going to make this move on the outside. He's going to make it stick.
Paul Witt's going to try to get the
now
side draft going.
Now they're door-to-door down the front stretch. This is exactly what Chad Dulabon is wanting. He wants to get out front so he can leave. And they're drafting with him. Chuck Sweeting is working with him.
He is. Paul Witt did everything he could. He tried to deny the entry, ran the middle lane. Chad Dulabon just made it stick higher. Dulabon now way down to the inside.
Watch Dulabon as he tries to break that straightaway draft. That's the only places that it's really going to be significant is on the straightaways.
Yep. Now, let's see if anybody has the wherewithal to follow Dulabon down. He's been running the apron this entire time. They need to follow him down there. Here comes Sweeting. Here comes Witt.
So this take significant advantage of these straightaway drafts so that they can at least keep him within reach. If they allow him to get out to 3, 4, 5 tenths of a lead, he'll pull away. That's what his MO's been all night long, and he is blistering those corners as he pulls away from Chuck Sweeting in 1 and 2. Again, swerving and going down the straightaway and trying to break the draft. No one follows him down the backstretch.
They did not follow him down the back. Meanwhile, you've got a battle for second. Sweeting is kind of all alone there. Last time through, Chad Dulabon, 39,894. Chuck Sweeting, 39,947. Duleman goes down to the apron. Sweeting follows him this time, but he's still 0.15 of a second slower, Sweeting is, than Duleman.
Right. Now, after that lap, now he's at 0.3 of a lead, and he's proved these first 5 or 6 laps he is in qualifying mode.
He is,
as you were saying earlier.
He is. Now we've got it. We'd be in remiss if we didn't go back here because now that Duleman has established that he's going to pull away again. Here's Billy Elwell, Jim Duda, Jared Duda, John Hutchins. They are having a dispute over who is going to run 5th in this thing. Don't want to discount Paul Wood and Chad Winstead because they're having a fight for 3rd and 4th. And again, none of them.
We have a truck wrecking out on the infield out of turn 4.
It's
there's
Zucchelli.
A caution on the speedway.
It's Zucchelli.
Someone hit that inside wall and they buried that truck. It was the 43 of Daryl Zucchelli.
Yeah, here it is. Here's Zucchelli in the 43.
Oh, he got loose and watch the impact. Wow. Oh, and they just missed him on the front stretch.
That is Ricky Rudd Daytona-esque. Came off and just destroyed the inside pit wall.
Oh, it's just I have these flashbacks of Darrell Waltrip, wrecking the Gatorade car into the infield wall like that. It's just that impact was significant.
Yes, it is, and there's not once it comes off at that angle, there's not a lot you can do about it.
No, you're along for the ride.
You are along for the ride. It was impacts like that actually led to the development of the safer barrier, believe it or not, which originated with something called the PEDS that was placed in that same area at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Ari Lyondike tested that stuff in an IROC crash, and if you want to see a hit, Ari Lyondike destroyed this soft wall. And I mean, he destroyed the wall. And so that's how they came up with a safer barrier, because it delayed that race quite a bit while they put the wall back together. So they came up with a safer barrier because it could be struck repeatedly over and over. But it was impacts just like that led to the soft walls, Sam. I didn't know if you knew that or not.
No, I didn't know the complete origins.
Yep.
But I knew the instrumental impact that it has had, and now some of these drivers are actually they're dancing around with the idea of maybe that.
Oh, they're not dancing; they're coming. They're not dancing; they're coming.
Maybe thinking, okay, there was a few laps on that set of tires. They're thinking, if I have a few lap pressure tires on this run, I might be able to keep some speed with Chad Dudelman.
Yeah, and there you go.
I think you can make it on fuel now. I think you're fine on fuel.
Yeah, I don't think fuel is. And Mark Cofield missed his box. I don't think you're going to see any. I don't think you're going to see any change in terms of fuel from this. You might get a gallon or two just in case there's a green white checker. But what this really helps you out is on tires. The leaders now have 9 laps on their current rubber. Everybody else, from Winstead on back, that's P13, Chad Winstead back through David Dunwoody on the lead lap.
10-lap pressure tires can make a difference. 10-lap pressure tires can make a difference.
Yes, they can. Yes, it can. And so those trucks were Winstead, Hutchins, Sharp, Osterman, Cofield, Matty Wagner, Tyler Moore, David Dunwoody. Black flag, too fast on exits.
Okay, that's a drive-through. That will not be a hole.
Or a tail end of the line. I think
that's true. It could be an EOL. You're right.
Yeah, they can change that to an EOL, I believe. But this is really the first time that we've seen any sort of split strategy. It's the first time that we've seen anybody do anything different than the leader, and we'll see if that makes any impact. Remember, Winstead, Hutchins, Sharp, Osterman, Cofield, Wagner, and Moore, as well as David Dunwoody, are all on fresh Goodyear Eagles. We're going to get this restart here, Sam, with 28 laps to go. They're going to come and get 28 to go to restart it. Fuel no longer an issue. Tires may be an issue.
I personally do not feel that fuel is an issue now. I really don't. I don't think that fuel's going to come into play. But I also, to digress from earlier, to what we were talking about earlier, is that I really felt so strongly that the last stint especially when you have someone that is driving so fast and in a league of their own like Chad Dulabon is tonight, is that strategy is going to have to be played out here tonight in order for other drivers to be able to give him a run for his money. And I'm really glad to see drivers like Chad Winstead, who is incredibly fast in a lot of these races that he shows up at, is that he's willing to take that gamble and that risk. Now, there are a lot of trucks that he has to get around to get back up to the front, but 10-lap fresher tires may give him that advantage. And so we're going to find out really soon what that's going to do for him and those trucks that pitted for fresh tires. And if Chad Dulabon gets a big jump on this restart and how quickly he'll be able to pull away. So it's going to be interesting.
It very much will be interesting. We're going to hop in the drone, watch the restart. Sam, do want to thank everybody who's tuned this one in. We do have a massive
we're
group.
Just so honored to have everyone. Just a great crowd tonight here on a Friday.
Speaking of that crowd, we did get a check-in from Chief Mechanic Mike Rigney. He says that they've got Matt Wagner on a plan, and if those two are cooking up a plan, I think we all had better be worried. Here comes the green flag.
We're under green, and Dulabon gets another big jump, which has been his MO all night on these restarts, that he's been the leader. And so now he gets a big jump on Chuck Sweeting, and Paul Witt is going to race Sweeting for second place here.
Meanwhile, they've decided to go absolutely bananas back here
wide.
for...
Yeah, those trucks with new tires are not going to wait.
No, they're gonna start coming. Ryan O'Donohue,
three wide going into turn 3. 3 wide.
Yep. O'Donoghue's going to back out of it on the bottom. That's going to let Jared Duda fight it out with Billy Elwell. Meanwhile,
he would be the one to do it. He doesn't have the angle. Oh, they're getting together behind there, and it looks like Justin Osterman washes up to the wall.
Yep. Now Wagner, Cofield, Osterman, Hutchins, and Sharp. Those are the trucks that are on the freshies. It may take a lap or two for that to show up. We're riding on the roof of Matt Wagner. He is on a plan that has been formulated by ISRA impresario Mike Rigney. They're working together here to work this out. Wagner seems to be kind of stuck, though. Osterman's going to throw it down to the inside of Cofield. Now, these guys need to be careful. They're on a long-term strategy here. The last thing they want to do is burn their stuff up fighting each other.
Yes, yeah, considering that we've seen over the last two, or the first two stages, late in the stages, we did not even get to our stage break caution because the trucks were getting so ill handling and loose condition that we began to see cautions come out before the end of the stages. So it could very well play out the same in this particular
Donald
stint.
Green.
As we get later into the stage, you're going to find these trucks getting uncontrollable.
Yeah, Donald Green just got...
Because our track temp now is 121 degrees.
Yeah, it's getting warmer. Donald Green just got really free coming off of turn 2. There are the track conditions. You're watching Matty Wagner. He races right next to Corey Palermo. He's having a handful trying to get it by Donald Green. Meanwhile, the battle in front
Chad Winstead just made another pass. He's on the outside. He's about to make the move here on
Owen Simkovich.
Yes.
And they get super...
Oh, wow, that's close.
They get super close, but everybody makes it stick. Meanwhile, I told you that Justin Osterman was not going to finish 11th. He is currently 13th and mired in a mess. He's got the Liam Anderson machine in 12th. In front of them, they've got John Hutchins and John Van Ostrand, 10th and 11th. They are getting after it. Here's Osterman, the 18.
Is he loosened her for again?
Sam, stand by the tin of Rolaids. I'm gonna need them.
He gets on the outside of the Anderson machine.
He made it stick.
He gets so loose off of turn 4.
He made it stick. Now we're gonna jump on board with Justin Osterman. He's now hunting John Hutchins. So he is in 11th, but he is not gonna finish there because he's gonna reel in John Hutchins. Hutchins and Osterman are on the fresh tires, as is Chad Winstead. They broke free. Winstead has now caught that lead group that have not let Chad Dulabon escape as quickly this time. There's Dulabon. He does lead it.
This time they've been able to keep within a reasonable distance this particular time. they're trying their best to not allow Dulabon to get out to that big lead. And Chuck Sweeting is a quick study, and if you pay close attention to what he's doing here, he's mimicking what Dulabon is doing. And so Chuck has actually won some races here in the AMA Archway Industrial Truck Series, and so he's a smart driver, and he's going to learn. He's a quick learner, so it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to maintain the same speed that Dulabon. Ooh. And we see another truck get loose already, coming off of 4 there.
Yes, they are. And the front 3 or 4 have really kind of straightened themselves out. It's Chad Winstead trying to charge through the second half of that. You've got Billy Elwell on the bottom. That's Jim.
Oh, good heavens, they're about wrecking.
Well, they are wrecking.
Off of turn 4, turn 2, they're wrecking.
It's Elwell, and it's Ryan O'Donohue, both hard into the wall. That is Billy.
Well, Justin again with a handful of truck. Everything he could do to try and save that truck, and he just washed it right up into Ryan O'Donohue.
I thought he had it coming off the corner, and it stepped out of him again. It stepped out on him again, and he ran out of racetrack and into Ryan O'Donohue right into the outside wall. He kind of gets that might be a little bit lucky.
He almost gets Chad Winstead. Chad Winstead is just apparently has the golden horseshoe right there.
Yeah, and look, I mean, Ryan O'Donohue, and we'll get on board with O'Donohue here so you can see it. I mean, he's going to be able to get this fixed for sure because I don't think he really hit all that hard.
Now the question is, now that we're under 20 laps to go, does everyone come in for fresh tires? If everyone's on equal tires, I don't know if anybody has anything for Chad Dulabon.
You know, I don't either. I'm going to get one more.
Because it really hurts Chad Winstead and those Justin Osterman, those that came in for that set of tires that last run. It kind of hurts their chances. But we're getting ready to find out who's coming in for fresh rubber, and I think the field will come down this time. I don't think there'll be any question that they're going to come down for a set of tires.
We're going to get one more replay. This is of Billy Elwell and his efforts to try to save that number 67. He gave it the college try. Look at how much lock he's got in there. Right here, I thought he had it, and it's almost like this. It's almost like Chad Winstead going past, sucked him on around, and there he goes. And there's the impact to the outside retaining wall. We're going to get back to live pictures because
how did he miss Chad Winstead?
I don't know.
Wow.
We do have some stayer outers. Matt Wagner and Owen Simkovich have stayed out. So, Catherine, we feel we're right there with you with the sad faces, but this is not over yet, not by a long shot. Owen Simkovich and Matt Wagner have stayed out. Chad Dulabon this time did not lose a spot on pit road. He's going to restart third behind the old tires. Chuck Sweeting will beat his outside. Paul Witt, Jim Duda, 5th and 6th. Jarrett Duda, Justin Osterman, John Hutchins, and Brian Sharp round out the top 10. Meanwhile, Ryan O'Donohue sits on pit lane under repair, as does Billy Elwell. We're going to get in here and get a shot of O'Donohue. Doesn't look too bad, Sam. Some damage on the left front. You can see iRacing as he gets it repaired, pulling out the dents. He's got about another 30 seconds he can sit there. So he may have a chance to get the lion's share of that fixed. Now Simkovich is going to come in.
Here comes Simkovich. Simkovich has now decided that he's going to come down pit lane, and that leaves Matt Wagner all by himself. Wags will be out front all by himself on this restart.
It does, and I have bad news. Owen Simkovich too fast entering. Too fast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, too fast on pit road. So he's going to get to – he would have been tail into the lead lap anyway, but Owen Simkovich too fast on entry. Do want to thank everybody who is tuned in to watch the P1 Broadcasting presentation of the Archway Industrial Coating Truck Series. We have 19 laps to go here at Michigan. We're going to get a restart. That is Matt Wagner, currently your leader. He is on some older tires. He came in at 11 laps ago. Everybody else is on sticker tires. Chad Dulabon has had the dominant truck, but he's going to have to start to the outside of Wags. Chuck Sweeting, Paul Witt, row 2. Jared Duda, Jim Duda, row 3. Let's hope father and son don't tangle up. John Hutchins, Justin Osterman, 7th and 8th. Mark Cofield, Brian Sharp are going to run 9th and 10th. And it's the Liam Anderson truck in 11th. You've got Tyler Moore, John Van Osteren, Chad Winstead, Donald Green. Donald Green! I'm knocking on the hardwood, Sam. Donald Green having another solid yeoman's evening. He's up in 15th. Jeremy Dunwoody, David Dunwoody, Owen Simkovich, Billy Elwell, and Ryan O'Donohue round out your top 20. Corey Palermo is still on the lead lap. Michael Kirk 3 laps down. Daryl Zucchelli, Ted Craven are out of the race. Let's get...
All right, we're coming to the green flag. My question in this particular instance is
Green.
Matt Wagner can get... Oh, and they door each other.
You know...
He and Dulabon door each other. But they get off evenly, and now we see a little bit of damage to the back of the Dulabon truck. I don't know that that's going to affect him, but Wags is going to come up the racetrack and open the track up on the bottom for Chuck Sweeting.
And now they're going to go 3 wide.
3 wide coming off of turn 2.
Here we go, 3 wide down the back. It's Dulabon on the top, Wagner in the middle. You've got Sweeting on the bottom. Paul Witt is the most interested man in virtual Michigan right now. He's the truck that's pushing Chad Dulabon.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Wagner.
Dustin Osterman with a big move, and now he's on the inside of Matt Wagner as they come down the front stretch. They'll be 4 wide.
Well, let's call that 5 wide.
5 wide. And Duda is not backing out here.
Which Duda? Dulabon went from 2nd to 8th. He backs completely out of that. He backed completely out of that. Dulabon goes back to 7th. Meanwhile, and you got Mark Cofield back there. Cofield is blinking. Meanwhile, on the flip side of that, Justin Osterman, who will not finish 11th, has gone to 2nd. Wagner is all the way to the top, trying to keep the speed up in that 17.
That's really where he needs to run with his tire. The tires that he has, that's where he needs to run. He has to get that momentum on the top side with the older tires.
Yes, he does. 16 laps to go here in the Rogue Energy 200 for the Archway Industrial Coatings AMA Truck Series. We're looking.
Oh, and Winstead's on the inside of Dulabon. They are so close. Winstead really gets out and gives him some space there. Oh, and they're wrecking down the backstretch. One truck almost goes airborne, and the caution is out. It is the 97 of Mark Cofield, and I do not know how that truck did not flip over. It started to get airborne off of the corner.
Well, I can tell you this. He was having some connection issues, and I don't know that Brian Sharp could see him because around he goes, it packed a ton of air underneath it. It bounced like it was going to go over a couple of times, and there you see it blink, and there you see it come back. Cofield is going to make light contact with the inside retaining wall and get away. But I don't know when you see a connection issue like that. I don't know that Brian Sharp could see him.
And netcode really comes into play in those particular instances. You know, when a truck seems to be blinking or warping, and it could very well be one of the cases that was why he lost. Oh, and now we have a truck that is in the wall. That's John Van Ostrand. He is in the wall on the backstretch.
What in heavens?
I think he lost track of where the field was, and he completely runs into the back.
Yeah, that's what it is.
The Anderson machine.
He's trying to catch the field here,
and he just lost track of how close they were.
And it's too late. He knows it's too late now, but he just absolutely demolishes the back of that Krause Auto Body machine.
And he has significant damage to that truck. John Van Ostrand.
Yes, he does.
Complete significant damage.
Well, and the 8 has some pretty significant damage to the rear as well. Although, if you're going to have damage in these things, you would much rather...
The back is the best place to do it, yeah.
Yeah, you'd much rather... You'd much rather have damage to the back than the front. The the damage model is playing tricks with us, Sam. It looked like he had a yo-yo that was doing the spin trick on the front of that number 70 as he pulled into the pit lane.
Yeah, no, you look at John Van Ostrand's truck in the pit lane, that front left fender is it's twirling around like a windmill.
It wants to keep racing, Sam. The fender wants to keep going. It's pretty bad when
the fender wants to go faster than the truck.
I've had some fenders in my life that probably were faster than the guy between the seat and the steering wheel. It is Chuck Sweeting from Mr. Excitement himself, Justin Osterman, who will not finish 11th. Jim Duda 3rd, Paul Witt 4th. Jared Duda is
Chad Dulabon
5th.
Actually came into the pit that time.
Yes, he did. And there's Chad Dulabon. Matt Wagner also stopped. So Wagner, Cofield, and Dulabon all have stopped.
We're just running out of laps here to...
Well, you got to wonder,
think that you could make a big run from the back. You're going to have some things really work in your favor outside of the top 10.
You do. Now
to be able to work your way up through the field, especially the way these drivers are racing in the closing laps. I mean, Justin, I'm not going to finish 11th Osterman, has worked his way all the way up into the second position.
You have. I'm wondering if we're going to see Mark Cofield get sent to the back here with those blinking issues. That could be. We just watched Dulabon go past him.
His connection's steady at the moment.
Okay. We watched Chad Dulabon drive up here next to Matty Wagner. So let's watch those two trucks. Keep an eye on the 17 and the 98. The 98 has been the absolute class of the field. Chuck Sweeting and Justin Osterman are on the front line. Now, you said that Sweeting had won some races here. He actually has not yet won a race in the AMA Truck Series. He has come close.
Oh, he's won in the Xfinity or in the Grand National Series.
He has won in the Grand National Series, and he's come close
right, okay.
In the trucks, but he has not yet won one on this side of the house. Justin Osterman.
That's one of the conditions when you're calling both of these great league races. You get confused.
You do indeed. Justin Osterman has won. He was the winner at Daytona, and so Justin Osterman is currently second, and he's proving his big track prowess. You've got Jim Duda 3rd, Paul Witt 4th, and Jim has son Jared lined up behind him. Now that's an interesting dynamic as you get down into the final laps here. The pace truck is
the father-son duo there is ran themselves back up to the leaders, and so now they've proved that they're not afraid to put their trucks in a winning position either. As we go into green, and Chuck Sweeting does not get as big a jump as I thought that he would, but he does get a nice start.
He does indeed. Here they go. They haul off into turn number 1. Sweeting has cleared Osterman, and Osterman's going to have a challenge from Jim Duda. I can tell you this, if my dad was in front of me, he would be keying the mic saying, please don't hit me, please don't hit me. They are 4 wide in the back. Watch Matt Wagner try to shoot up through this field.
Oh, and they're 3 wide there going in the turn. Chad Dulabon on the bottom of a 3 wide. Ron O'Donoghue there, one of the trucks thinks wiser of it, gives up the spot. Now, Chad Dulabon has been ultra fast tonight, especially on the bottom on fresh tires.
Yes, he has. Dulabon has already made it.
A lot of passes that have to be made, and now one of those passes that we see is now Jim Duda is making a bid for the front.
Yep, Jim Duda is going to go to the front. Meanwhile, we've got the camera on Chad Dulabon. You can kind of see that Jim Duda through the pylon has cleared Chuck Sweeting. What you're going to try to give the fans at home the widest angle we can, which would be.
Here comes Paul Witt down to the bottom this time.
Chad Dulabon could not have gotten any lower going into turn number 3. He's going to pull the pass.
He's going to drive through the infield before it's over with.
Yeah, he pulled the pass.
But he has raced his way up from the
we got trouble.
Looking down the front stretch. Paul Witt spins as he's off the nose of Justin Osterman, and they're now under caution again.
Paul Witt took a wild ride, and I think he's going to get away with it, Sam. He turned down. It appears as though he came down a little bit. Don't make any judgments. But there's contact between him and Osterman. Around Witt goes.
Yeah, it's very close right there.
Yes, it
Now,
is.
now Osterman is not obligated to go below that white line. Although he is below the white line for just a moment, he's not obligated to run down on the apron.
He is
So that's
not.
why Mark is saying what he's saying, is that, it's really hard to cast a lot of blame in these instances because Osterman is still on the white line and they're racing very tightly down the front stretch.
Yes, he is. You are not. He is not obligated to go down there. He does not have to go below the line, and I'll let the fans at home be the judge of that one. Meanwhile, Paul Witt takes a.
Now, he momentarily he does go below that white line to make sure there's room, but then the truck kind of unsettles right there a little bit, and it goes back to the white. The left tires are on the white line, and Paul Witt is there. Paul Witt is there. Because he is being pulled in the draft a little bit, and so it's just incredibly close racing.
He is indeed, Sam.
Now, John Van Ostrand has now called it the night. He's taking the truck back into the garage area, and he is done for the evening.
He is. So he would be the first truck out of this race. Jim Duda is your leader from Chuck Sweeting. Jared Duda is third. Then Osterman, Dulabon, Winstead, Hutchins, Ryan O'Donohue is going to sneak down pit lane. I kind of had a sneaking suspicion that he might do that, Sam, grab his last set of tires and iron out any damage that he may have. Paul Witt, of course, he's going to want some new Goodyears. He's going to be joined by Corey Palermo, the 54 of Michael Kirk, who is 2 laps down. And Billy Elwell is also going to make the sojourn down pit lane. And I have a feeling that there's still some damage on that Elwell machine that needs to be worked on. And so Billy Elwell is going to take the opportunity to get as much fixed as he can here for any final shootout that remains in this 200-miler from Michigan. Do want to thank the massive group of people that we have watching this race. If you have already done so, make sure you smash the like.
Make sure tuning in at just the right time, because it's going to get real interesting here at the end. Chad Dulabon, who's been the fastest truck on the track all night long, has now moved himself up with fresh tires. He has some of the freshest tires of the top 5. He's moved himself up into the 5th position, and so he's proven that he can get there. Will he have enough green flag laps to do so?
Yes.
Owen Stemkovich just got the lucky dog, and so now that puts 20 trucks on the lead lap here at Michigan International Speedway. What a great race tonight that these drivers at the AMA have been putting on.
Yes, it has. Jim Duda is your leader. Chuck Sweeting second. Jared Duda third. Do want to thank once again the huge audience that we have in attendance. If you haven't already done so, make sure you smash the like button on the video. Ring the bell to subscribe. Be notified of all P1 Broadcasting's future iRacing events, including tomorrow. It's the big one, the P1 600 kilometers IndyCars here at Michigan. It's an all-star invitation only field, and they're set to do battle for better than $500 in purse money. Don't miss that one. 2 p.m. tomorrow here on the P1 Broadcasting Network, and that's going to lead us into week 13. And so there will be no officials next week. I believe there's an ISRA race, but there will be no officials next week. So no Monday night, Tuesday night top splits. The Grand National Series will be on next week, but no trucks. And so the Truck Series next week, I believe, Sam, is off. Is that what you see on your schedule?
Next week, I will unfortunately not be able to be here for the exciting action of the AMA season for the Grand National Cars or the Truck Series. But I know that will be in more than capable hands with Mark, and I think Clindy may be actually visiting the booth next week. So I'll miss you guys, but we'll certainly be keeping tabs with you while we're gone.
Well, and that'll be a good one for Clindy to call. It'll be at Daytona on the road course of all places for the Grand National Cars.
I want to give one more shout out to John Hutchins, who has quietly continued to work his way up to the front. He's in 7th spot. Matt Wagner has actually worked his way up to the 9th spot with these fresher tires that he has. Mark Cofield, who was involved in an earlier incident, is now in 10th spot. And Donald Green, who said that he would not have much speed tonight, has raced his way up into the 11th position. And now we're back under Green, and the Dudas get out to a good jump this time.
Hitch the belts up tight, Sam. This is about ready to
Oh, what a block. Oh, big block by Jared Duda there.
Yeah, and he's got Chad Dulabon all over his rear.
Oh, he really hindered Dulabon that time.
Yeah, Dulabon had to get out of the gas. He's going to drop all the way back to 6th, 7th spot. Here comes Matty Wagner. He's going to challenge to the inside. Meanwhile, the Dudas, 1st and 3rd, Justin Osterman, Mr. Excitement, he's going to get... We've got caution.
We have a caution out on the speedway, and they're wrecking in turn 4. Several trucks are involved in this particular incident.
That is the 26 of Tyler Moore, the 72 of John Hutchins. They are both involved. I believe the 125 of Brian Sharp and the 8 of Liam Anderson also may have been involved.
Rush hour traffic back there in the back of the field with Paul Witt working his way through, but
my
several
goodness.
Trucks. Oh, and it was John Hutchins, as I was just talking about him.
It's the
Somehow
broadcasters.
He got turned sideways.
It's the broadcaster's curse. He gets together with Mark Cofield there.
Oh, he got loose.
Nowhere to go for Brian Sharp, and then similarly nowhere to go for Tyler Moore. All 3 of those machines, hard contact, and then you see the number 18 machine, Liam Anderson machine. Yeah, just
Sharp.
avoids it.
Unfortunately.
It is, and unfortunately for Brian Sharp.
Oh, no. And so now the quarter ante starts all over again.
Brian Sharp has yet to win a quarter of my money at any point during the AMA season. I believe he's been involved in contact in every event.
So much for John Hutchins.
I do too, and Brian too. I mean, both of them were having really good runs. Jim Duda.
Well, the track temperature is as hot as it's been the entire event. It's at 123 degrees on track temperature, and John Hutchins' truck looks like he just did a stint on Green Acres.
It does. Jim Duda is your leader. There's the weather. 80 in the air. 123 on the track. The wind is now out of the east, so the wind has shifted. It had been blowing down the front straightaway for most of the event. Now it's blowing across it from left to right, if you're looking at it. Jim Duda, your leader, and what this has done, Sam, is it has separated the Dudas. Dad Jim is your leader, and there he is, the Sim Racing Association Toyota leads it. Chuck Sweeting is second in the purple and black chrome, unsponsored Chevrolet. Somebody needs to sponsor that guy. And third is Justin Osterman, Mr. Excitement. I'm going to knock on wood one more time, Sam. I said he wouldn't finish 11th. I don't think he's going to finish third either.
Well, he's not going to leave anything out on the racetrack, that's for sure.
I don't think he's going to finish third either. Jared Duda, is fourth. I'm starting to sound like my grandmother. Whatever that guy's name is fourth. Chad Winstead and Chad Dulabon, they're going to have the Chad and Chad show on row 3. That's 5th and 6th. Look who has snuck up to 7th, Matty Wagner. He'll have Mark Cofield to his outside in 8th. Donald Green is now up to 9th. And how about that for Donald inside the top 10?
This will be a natural green-white checker, if I'm not mistaken. This will be a natural.
It should be a natural green-white checker. We do get one shot at it.
Right. They're unlimited after that, right?
I
think in the AMA they're unlimited.
Check the rules, Sam. Check the rules. I thought you got one. Or maybe they had limited them due to previous events. But it's going to be Jim Duda. Chuck Sweeting is second. There you see it from the blimp. We're going to stay in the blimp because that's going to give us the best chance to see all of the action amongst the front runners. Do want to thank all of the sponsors in the AMA. Do want to thank Whiplash SimCams for bringing us these shots. Archway Industrial Coatings, Blackmagic Studios, Admin Box, Rogue Energy Drink, and Trak Racer. All of them for their support. Mike Rigney has checked the rules. He says it's unlimited.
There's chat actually there's chat in the server that says that the green white checkers are unlimited.
Yes, and you know that the person who that is coming from is currently playing AJ Watson on the top of Matt Wagner's pit box. So
Brian Sharp actually answered the question.
yes, he did.
So now we're coming to green flag, and now we're really going to find out who's got what for the closing laps. Chuck Sweeting, now Jim Duda has proved to be fast all night long. It's not like Jim Duda has just lucked his way up to the front. Jim Duda has been more than quick. He qualified on the grid in the second position. Chuck Sweeting actually qualified fourth, so these drivers are more than qualified to get up here and race each other. Justin Osterman is going to fight for everything he's got, no matter what he's doing. He could be in a wheelbarrow, and he could bring some excitement with him. And so now here we are going into turn one. Big push from Chad Winstead.
The front seven have broken away. That is Duda, Osterman, Winstead, Sweeting, Duda, Dulabon, and Wagner. They're 3 wide for third. Jared Duda drops to the bottom. They've made Chad Winstead the sandwich with Chuck Sweeting on the outside. Sweeting is going to pull into third. Meanwhile, Justin Osterman's going for the lead.
Oh, he is sticking it to the yellow line here. He's going to wash up the track. He's going to just miss the door of Jim Duda, but they're door to door going down the front stretch.
Both of those trucks are going to lose all their momentum. Here comes Chad Dulabon. Yeah, here comes Dulabon. He's going to make it 3 wide on the second row. Meanwhile, Osterman and Jim Duda.
Watch this run through the middle by Dulabon.
Yeah, here he comes. They're 4 wide now.
Oh my, and he makes it thick.
Here comes Osterman one more time. Here comes Sweeting. Osterman throws the block.
Looking inside of Osterman. Oh, they make contact into 3.
4 wide one more time. Here comes Chad Dulabon to the bottom of Sweeting.
They're coming to the line. Jim Duda is going to pull out to the lead. He'll be all alone. Justin Osterman cannot close the gap. They're fighting now for second, third, fourth, and fifth. And Jim Duda pulls out the win with Justin Osterman. They're wrecking coming through the infield into turn 1. The field is like a junkyard in turn 1. But now we see Jim Duda, Justin Osterman, and Chad Dulabon finishing on the podium of an exciting finish here at Michigan International Speedway.
My goodness gracious, Sam.
Woo.
I'm glad you got that jar of Rolaids.
And I just knew Osterman was going to wash up into Duda. They made contact in the 3, and I just knew that was going to wipe out most of the lead, but they kept it under speed and their foot in the loud pedal and just made it work. And there was just not enough momentum for Justin Osterman to keep that truck on the bottom coming down out of turn 4. So Jim Duda on that high side made it high, wide, and handsome coming down to the finish line.
Yeah, here it is. We're going to watch the end of this race just one more time, Sam. Cannot underline how incredible this finish is. I can't believe that everybody made it, right?
Well, it's a good thing the race ended right there because hardly anyone survived the after-race crash into turn 1.
Yeah, here we go. Here's the last lap. It took us a second to get to it. Osterman and Jim Duda, they are after each other, and I mean they are after each other. Meanwhile, they're 4 wide here in the back, 4 wide coming for second. There's the block from Osterman on Sweeting. And now the fun starts.
It's incredible. Just a handful of that truck. All those drivers. I think what hurt the most for Osterman is that he went to do the block on Chuck Sweeting. And when he went to do that, I think that kind of hurt some of his momentum and really didn't give him a good angle going into 3. And that's why I think that's what hurt him coming down to the last 2 corners.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's one of those things where you do that to kind of kill the other guy's momentum.
Yeah, you want to discourage that 3 wide. You want to discourage that. Yeah, but you lose focus on the race at hand, and the race at hand was with Jim Duda.
Yes, it was. Jim Duda is going to be your winner. Justin Osterman is second. Chad Dulabon rounds out the podium. Jared Duda is fourth. And how about a top 5 for Chad Winstead? Matt Wagner, he finally gets a result. He's going to bring it home 6th. Chuck Sweeting ran up front all day. He is going to be 7th. And how about Mark Cofield? I don't want to say he survived the carnage.
Nice comeback from Mark Cofield. Excellent comeback from Mark Cofield.
I don't want to say he survived the carnage, and I don't want to say that about Ryan O'Donoghue or Paul Witt either, but an 8th, 9th, and 10th for those 3 drivers is a pretty awesome result. In 11th, you've got Owen Simkovich. Donald Green is 12th. Corey Palermo, 13th. Jeremy Dunwoody, 14th. Billy Elwell brings it back, 15th. How about Donald Green, 12th? That's a couple of top 15 finishes for him. Well done, Donald. 16th, David Dunwoody. Liam Anderson is going to be credited with 17th. Brian Sharp, 18th. John Hutchins, 19th. Tyler Moore is going to be 20th. In 21st, Michael Kirk. John Van Ostrand is 22nd. Daryl Zucchelli is 23rd. Ted Craven, 24th. John Guerrera and Braden Langley did not take the start. I feel the need to catch my breath, Sam.
It just goes to show that the fastest truck does not always, the most dominant truck or the most dominant car does not always win the race. And that's why you want to tune into these things to the very end. And certainly strategy and late cautions gave drivers an opportunity to come in with fresh tires or try fresh tires. And so it opened the door for other drivers to get up front and get clean air on their nose. And it brought us a winner, another Duda. Last week it was Jared Duda. This week it's Dad Jim Duda.
There we go.
And Justin Osterman with a podium finish tonight. And so also we can't discount the clinic that Chad Doulabon was putting on earlier in the event, and even despite the late race shenanigans that was going on, he really did a great job to come back and finish in 3rd.
Yes, he did. And speaking of Chad Doulabon, let's go ahead and get him in here. Chad, you've got Mark and Sam in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, you got me?
You know what? We surely do. You look like you had the dominant truck through 2.5 stages of this thing. Talk to us about what you needed at the end, and you're going to have to PM me later and tell me how you were 3/10 quicker than everybody else.
What the secret was.
Yeah, you're going to have to share your ways.
Yeah, that Silverado was on a rail. I think there when we had that late caution, I got a little damage on the restart. About 40 seconds, came in and got it repaired, and then there at the end.
Yeah, you did have some tailgate damage, yeah.
Yeah, so that put me back behind there a little bit, but then on that last restart, I think it was Jared Duda, he was blocking. Otherwise,
it was a very aggressive move, yeah.
Yeah, that's about the only way that was going to get me. Truck was on the rail tonight.
Yeah, Chad, it was clear that you were really wanting to those first 5 or 6 laps on fresh tires. You really were wanting to push that truck as hard as you could on the beginning of a run. Did it just seem to work better for you to do that and then just kind of level out and move up the racetrack for the longer run?
Yeah, it was a good long run truck. The looser it got, actually, the faster I got. So I didn't mind it. I was running hard. Truck would get loose on the long run, but loose is fast.
Well, you proved loose was super fast in the '98 Jack Daniels Silverado tonight. There's no two ways around it. We were watching you do something that's a very rare thing to do in the trucks, and that is one truck to pull away from the field the way that you did. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, it was impressive to watch you march away from the field. That was an impressive move you made on the final lap, throwing it 4 wide, half the truck on the apron. You had all of our hearts in our throats for sure. But Chad, with the podium, go the spoils, friends, family, sponsor, shout outs. The floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, so we got some family up north that was watching tonight, so shout out to them. Glad they was able to watch. Hope I put on a good show.
Well, they certainly should be proud of you after the run that you had tonight and then come back and still finish in 3rd. So it's a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Chad, congratulations on the podium. Get out here and go celebrate, my man. Keep going fast and having fun, you hear?
All right, y'all too.
Yes. Yes, sir. That is Chad Dulabon. He is credited with third today. We're going to go ahead and grab second place finisher, Justin Osterman. Justin, one spot short. You banged doors for it, but just came up a bit close. We said that we've dubbed you Mr. Excitement. The bet was you were not going to finish 11th, and then you weren't going to finish 4th either. You run second. What'd you need for one more spot, my man?
I needed the truck to not get a little upset like it did on that last going into 3, I think it is, man. I went to flick it in because I was going to try and roll it because I knew Duda was pretty quick all night, or at least when we got that clean air, the man was pretty quick. So I was like, if I just flick it in, get it to settle, and I'll just roll it in hard, maybe get to his door, and maybe I'll have him on exit. And when I did that, she did not like that. It got loose, and then I looked behind me and I saw Sweden, the whole pack, and I was like, well, let me go down lower and maybe just be here in case anybody starts coming up. But I might have had him had I not tried to dive it as hard, but I mean, it was a drive out there tonight. That was definitely a fun track. It's my first time driving that too. I bought it just before session opened, so I guess we'll take this out. We'll take this.
Well, you certainly got your money's worth considering the earlier incident where you pushed up into the wall and then of course be able to come back and do what you did. I was a little curious though, Justin, here tonight in the closing, as you're closing in on the end of the race on that last lap, and you're door to door with Jim. Do you feel like that maybe kind of trying to persuade Sweeting from kind of making it 3 wide? Do you feel like that move kind of cut a lot of your angle off on entry and prevented you from really getting that roll through the center that you needed to race Duda off of 4? Do you think that kind of prevented that?
Oh yeah, it definitely did. It probably wasn't the smartest move, but I mean, you get up here in the front, you're just going. I mean, there's not a whole lot of time to think, so you're just making moves before you do it. And sometimes it works. I mean, sometimes they don't, but can't complain about second. So.
Second place is a great run considering all the action that you were a part of tonight.
Yeah, I think these races where I get spun in the first 4 or 5, I think I'll take that because that happened. Kansas too? I think came out 3rd, so might be a little.
Well, we don't recommend getting in wrecks just to get a podium finish around here. So.
But no, it is always, Justin. It's fun watching you. It's fun to have you up in the booth. Friends, family, sponsor, shout outs. The floor is yours, my man.
I want to thank my girlfriend, first of all. She's out of town this weekend. She's not feeling too good. She's with her parents. So just want to shout her out if she's still watching, if she's still awake. And then I want to thank Carry All RCs, my number 1 RC sponsor. Black Magic Studios, always for them riding with me. Archway Industrials for the Truck Series and League. I want to thank them so much for what they put on. Thank you all in the booth. And all my brothers at Dark Horse. I want to thank all of them for riding with us. And I think that'll do it for tonight.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, Justin.
Yes, sir. Great run to the middle step. Keep going fast and having fun, my man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. That is Justin Osterman. He is going to be classified as second today, and that leaves us with only one more man to talk to. That's going to be Jim Duda. He is going to be your winner this evening, Jim. It was son last week. It's dad this week. The Dudas are dominating, but it's not the same. Not the same, Duda. Talk to us about your run and how you guys managed to get past Chad Dulabon and then keep him at bay.
It wasn't keeping Chad at bay. I think Chad messed himself up by getting stuck back in the back. He had to work his way up through. He proved to us tonight that in open air the guy would run away, but then also in the pack coming through, I don't think he was that great. But I'm glad that happened that way. That gave me the chance for the victory, and we had a top 5 truck all night long. I knew it'd come down to a tire game here, but my truck was sticking on the outside in 3 and 4. It was just awesome.
Well, Jim, you certainly proved that you had plenty of speed all night long, whether it was in practice or whether it was in qualifying. And of course, here at the end of the race, you were managing and keeping out front as well late in the last stage. But can you just give us a little insight about what you were feeling in the truck as the track temperature continued to rise and it's getting late in the stages, and that truck became a handful? So how did you manage that throughout the race?
Well, I tell you what, the first stage, the first 30 laps, man, it was really hard. Coming close from 25 to 30 or 25 to 27 or 20, the rear end coming out of 4 would kick out. Every third lap, I'd get a little loose and come down, and like the 75 car, a couple others, thank God they were kind of paying attention to what was going on, and nothing happened. And the first 30 lap, the first stage, you're learning about the tires, you're seeing what you can get away with, what you can do. So you adjust your driving line, maybe your throttle a little bit for the next couple stages, and we managed to learn enough, more than everybody else, and we came out on top.
You certainly did. Great job tonight, Jim.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate that, man. I'd like to thank Ford Performance. I'd like to thank AMA and P1 Broadcasting and Jared and Paul, my teammates. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
We appreciate you, Jim. You got everybody in. Keep going fast, having fun, buddy, and we will see you at the next one.
10-4 will be there. Thanks.
Yes, sir. That is Jim Duda. He is going to be your winner this evening. Sam?
I think there's I think in this particular instance, and I'm going to show my age real quick, Mark, so you're just going to have to forgive me. But back in the day, there was a gentleman that used to do radio broadcasting, and he was probably one of the most prolific voices in radio broadcasting. His name was Paul Harvey, and there was a segment that he would put on his show called The Rest of the Story. And I think that there's going to be, in the future weeks to come in the AMA Truck Series, I believe that there's going to be the rest of the story, especially the way some of these things played out at the end of the race. And so it's going to be interesting to how it's going to work with some of these drivers and how they're going to approach racing each other in the coming events.
It is indeed. Just another fantastic race this evening from the drivers in the AMA. And do want to let you know we do have some more fantastic racing planned tomorrow. It's the big show, Sam. The 2025 P1 600 presented by Techtopia. That's going to happen at 2 o'clock live Eastern. Myself, Gary Godso, are going to be on the call. It is an all-star invite-only crowd. There are 36 IndyCars signed up for that race, and they're going to take on 600 kilometers right here at Michigan. We're not done with big races. Sunday night, the Votive IndyCar Series opens their Season 3 with the Votive Indy Derby from Kentucky Speedway. That's going to be 8 o'clock on Sunday night. Monday night, remember, no officials next week, and so the Monday and Tuesday night's top split broadcasts will not occur, but we still do have the Sim Gaming Expo ISRA Open Wheel Series, 9:35 from Homestead. No race Tuesday, no race Wednesday. Thursday, it's going to be the AMA Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series, live from the Daytona Road Course. Sam is going to be out on assignment, so that means that our good buddy Kyle Clinworth is going to join me in the booth, and I always look forward to Clindy being around. A week from tomorrow, it's going to be the IndyCar iRacing Series presented by 40 Race. We're at Gateway, 2 o'clock start on that one, and we will be back for normal service beginning Monday, June 16th at 8 o'clock. Jacob Collins will replace Clindy in the booth. Collins, a former iRacing overall winner in the overall champion in the Indy Pro Series. He's going to join us in the booth. They open their season at Road America. For everybody at the P1 Broadcasting Channel, myself, Mark Murphy, Sam Crow, my booth mate, Gary Godso, the founder, we do want to thank first of all our audience. We have had some incredible turnouts for these AMA races, and
really stellar attendance. Yeah.
And we do want to thank everybody for tuning us in. We're so grateful that people find us entertaining. And so from the bottom of our hearts, we do thank our audience. Make sure you hit the like on the video. Ring the bell to subscribe to the P1 Broadcasting Network so you get notified of all future iRacing broadcasts here at P1. We also want to thank the first responders, the police, the fire, the military, the paramedics, the nurses in the emergency room, all the people that do the hard work in the middle of the night so that we can sleep soundly and safely in our beds. We thank you, Sam.
Thank you so much.
Take
the belts off now, Mark.
Go find me another jug of Rolaids, brother. I'm gonna need them.
You might have to go to BC Powders or Tums or something.
We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.
Good night, everybody.